Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the Snarp Fangle Podcast. I am your host, Jake Metzger, along with two guests this week. We first have someone who can recognize any Transformers fan by just utilizing her olfactory sensors. Ladies and gentlemen, Adelaide Metzger. Adelaide, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Do you know what an olfactory sensor is?
Yeah.
Good, I'm glad, because I wikied it.
nose.
I went to the wiki and I'm like, what's something I can pull from here for this intro?
I write robot fiction. So
Oh,
I know
dang. I knew you know it. I knew it, okay.
I was like, you just now learned what that was?
Yeah, I didn't know what an olfactory sensor is. Do you think I would know what an olfactory sensor is?
You're the one who
No,
brought it
it's
up.
in the Predacons, their sense of smell. That's what that is, basically.
It just means nose.
It just means nose.
Okay, whatever. Okay, that other voice you hear, our other guest, is someone...
He's laughing at his own script.
Oh God, where was I? Pull it together, Jake. Our other guest is someone whose taste differs, whether she's visiting the Borgias Kingdom or other places along the Grand Line. Ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea Metzger.
Hi.
What episode are you on in One Piece? Oh, she's checking
Hang
She's
Let
checking
me
her My
check.
Anime list.
Let me check.
Let's
I
see.
didn't update it the other day.
Oh, how
Let's see. I watched,
dare you!
Hang on, wait. I watched 6 episodes, so 2. I'm on episode 358.
Oh, those are Wookiee numbers.
Yeah, they are. They're on episode 1000.
This is like, what, 4 years after you started it?
Oh, well, I just got to the Brook arc, and after like trying to get there, that was like my next goal. Because I have different goals in One Piece, and this is like goal number. This is goal number 3, and then after this, my next goal is the time skip, so I can watch whatever movies I want. Because
Interesting.
after the time skip, everything's changed. Chelsea, just remember, it's a marathon, not a race.
It's all about the
I
journey,
explained that.
not
I'm,
about the
like, taking my
destination.
time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Well,
I love it. It's perfect because it's all spooky and Brook is the skeleton, and he's like, oh,
we're talking about One Piece?
yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
he, I just found out, I didn't realize they put some really good sword fights in there with him.
Ooh.
And I was
okay.
like, what? So I'm having a good time.
Yeah, me too. I only watched 15 episodes, so talk about rookie
Oh,
numbers.
that's lower than a rookie.
Yeah.
What's that called? Newborn? Like,
yeah, 15. So, and I thoroughly enjoy the time I've had with it so far, but that's so far. But anyway,
don't
for all
watch it.
comments, concerns, thoughts, and hate mail, and whether Adelaide should start watching One Piece, please direct them to snarpfanglepod@gmail.com. All right, so you two, today we're going to talk
Yes,
about
sir.
our favorite horror films. And Adelaide, I'm going to pass it on to you. We're going to open up with, I don't know, why do you guys watch horror movies and what do you guys seek in them? And just why? Why do we watch them?
I think it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. So like for me, there's two reasons. It's not just one reason. One reason is,
She broke it down here.
well, one reason is just because like, sometimes it's just because it's cool.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if
the
you
rule of
watch
cool.
the cheesy slasher like Jason and Freddy and stuff, that's just because it's cool.
Mm.
You know, they don't really have something to say. It's just it's like a popcorn movie, right? So like
Yeah.
you're like, I just like
It's
that because it's
entertainment.
cool.
Mm.
Like we like those iconic characters, and we think they're killing people that are super annoying. So it's like okay, apparently. So there's that reason. And then the other reason is like I feel like the horror genre can explore deeper topics like mental illness, grief,
Spirituality.
spirituality, like really thought-provoking deep stuff. And I feel like I get more satisfaction out of getting it out of horror than I do out of another genre. So like let's say like the superhero genre tried to explore that, then I mean it can, but I think
I don't
it's
think
more
we-
interesting to explore it in horror because people are bringing their own monsters and ideas to life and stuff. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the rule of cool is the number one. It's kind of like the number one reason. Like, that's like a personal rule for me. I'm like, okay, the writing was horrible. Okay, that was kind of stupid. Blah blah blah. Whatever. It's like, what did I get out of it? That was worth it. That guy looked cool in a
Yeah,
suit.
and
Like,
I think it's interesting because with horror and like thriller and stuff like that, well, more on the horror side, but like with horror, you can give it a pass if it's like a B grade, like it's a B
Mm.
movie. Or
yeah, exactly.
you can give it a pass. You're like, man, that writing sucked. Oh, that was lame, but that was cool. Like
But
you
that
give it
was
a
cool.
Or you
pass.
could do like the David rule. Who's all like, it was mundane, but it was still entertaining. And I'm like, what does that mean? Or no, he said something else. Like, don't quote me on it, but it wasn't cheesy. It was something else. And I was like, it was so slow. It was, I said a different word, and he's like, but it was still entertaining. I was like, that's the opposite of entertaining. That's why I said that.
You're jabbing at him because he's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah, wake up, David. No, I think for me it's a lot of when I go see a movie, I kind of like before like when I go to the theater or even when I'm watching it at home and I haven't seen it before, I kind of do a self check where I'm like, all right, what are my expectations for this film? Like a good example, like John Wick 2, 3, and 4. Like when I went to go see them in theaters, like I watched the first one, I was like, oh, that's awesome. The second one's coming out. I went to go see that. Let's go see the third one, and then the fourth one, I'm like, okay. I think the third and second one have been like the best one so far. Arguably, objectively speaking, the first one's like the best in terms of like, because the second and third one are weighed down by exploring the world around the lore of the universe, kind of, because even though they're all focused on Wick, they kind of have more more intersection of that lore in the background of the underground
Is it
world.
impressive? Like
The,
that, it gets you thinking,
like Assassin
oh.
world is more established in those films. That's why I
Yeah.
think they're lesser than the first one, because the first one is just very pure,
Yeah.
especially in its execution. And
Like you
concept.
didn't know it was gonna be something bigger, right?
Yeah. But going to the fourth one, you're like, oh man, this is supposed to be the last one. So here we go.
And then
I'm
they're
like,
doing a spin-off, right?
which looks really
That
cool.
actually does look really good.
You saw the trailer for
the ballerina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think Anna de Armas is she's
It's
gonna
like
be good.
it feels like a independent comic book mini series that
Yes.
started, and then they kept making sequels and spin-offs to that series. Ooh, I'm just saying this from experience during comic books and stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that goes totally unnoticed. And then there's stuff that gets critical acclaim, but you know, and that's what it reminds me of, but it's super successful. It's like the Image comics back in the day.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a good comparison. But anyway, the fourth one, going into it, I was like, all right, like the Universal logo's coming up or Lionsgate or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I think this will be as good as number 2, maybe 3, but it's not going to be as good as the first one. It was better than all of them. Like it took everything that built up, gave it an ending. You know that the man is probably going to be back for a fifth film eventually. Sure, why not? But overall, like, it was just like I thought I had my expectations like lowered down, but then they were exceeded exponentially.
So do you do that with every like horror movie you go
I do
to?
a horror film. Like when I went to go see one of the films in my list here, the last one on my list. When I went to go see with them, I'm like, I don't know what to expect from this film because there was like no marketing in the trailer. Because it was just that one trailer for this movie. And I was like, I have no idea what to expect. And that was a mistake. I should have not went to go see it in the theater because I was freaked out. But anyway, we're gonna get that later.
Oh, I was like, what movie was
when
that?
I went to go see,
Is it one of these?
no,
Oh, I
it's
thought
the
you were
one that's
talking
not on physical media.
about- Oh, really?
Yeah, but anyway, when I go see a movie or when I watch a film, if there's more good than there is bad, then I'm just gonna say, oh, it was a good movie. I'd
Right, yeah,
recommend
I
it.
give it a pass.
You know,
Yeah.
if there's like crappy dialogue, but the themes in the world are really interesting and it has some good set pieces, I'm gonna say, yeah, that was pretty great.
For
If the
craftsmanship, you get a
characters
point.
are really, really great and the story's good, but the villain sucks, I'm still gonna say, yeah, that was a good movie. Like, I'm not gonna get hung up on one thing.
Right.
Like we mentioned this a couple weeks back when we did our two spooky Kiwi films. And I mentioned Monkey Man. Angela and me were talking about it. And that film has a weird sequence.
I want to see it. I haven't seen it
It's
yet.
really good.
Yeah, I wanna see it.
It's such a great action movie. And Dev Patel's great. But there's one aspect that's like key to the end of the second act and beginning of the third where he's like injured and he's rebuilding himself, which is cool. But where he is like a monastery that's filled with transgender people.
Mhm.
And it was very off-putting and weird.
I remember people
And
making
I
a
was
big
like,
deal about that.
This is weird, but okay, keep going. And as it kept going, it made them such an integral part to the plot where I'm like, this kind of feels like it was put in here to get the script greenlit. That's what it feels like to me.
Right.
I could be totally
checking
wrong.
a box. Maybe.
Yeah, checking
I'm
boxes.
gonna have to watch
That's what we
It's
say whenever
really
we
good. It's on
see
Prime.
Hollywood do something.
because
on
there's
Prime.
a village of transgender women in India, and they have the biggest population, I guess, of transgender women.
Oh, dang. Okay,
Maybe
so
that's the reference.
that's one thing
there.
I didn't
Yeah.
also know going into that was like, is this like a
It's like a
thing
culture.
in
It's
India.
like a
It's
cultural
cultural
thing.
thing. Apparently it is. So, okay, that's fine. That's a different topic entirely.
Yeah.
But it was just off-putting because I was like, is that a thing in India?
I think we
You
talked
know?
about it when we talked about movies last time we got
Oh,
together,
yeah.
where like you talked about how you go in with. You
And I have
a
nothing
list.
against like transgender folks or anything. Live the way you
Jake
want.
doesn't
you
wanna get
know? If
canceled.
you're an
Don't come at
adult,
me.
if you're an adult, do what you want. But like in that
I said-
one, what are you doing with your hand? Oh, okay, you're good. Anyway, it really threw me
As I
off.
was saying, like we talked
yeah.
about like how I thought it was weird you go into movies with expectations, and I'm like,
Well, I like
I go
check
into
them
them-
because I'm like,
I don't have a list in my head.
no, I don't have a list, but I'm
I
like,
do because
is
I
this
watch
gonna?
so
and I'm
much
like, am I
stuff with
gonna
anime,
like?
like,
Is this
I-
gonna be amazing? No. Okay, let's see what we go.
See, I don't do
Like
that
going
because
into
like
Kong, was it King Kong versus Godzilla, the newer one that came out?
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm
Uh,
expecting this to be just a, it's not going to be a great
The
movie,
pink
but it's going to
Godzilla?
have some fun stuff in it, and it's exactly what it was. It has some fun stuff in it.
It's just a brawl.
Yeah, it was just a brawl, and that's all that movie needed to be, really. But that's just what I take away from films. And when it comes to horror, I mean, I kind of like strayed away from that early on in my adulthood, but kind of like more, I'm like, what else is here, And I found some really cool stuff along the way. So I think a lot of really great stories can come from horror, and like I think the spirituality aspect of it is also really interesting,
Mhm.
especially people who make that who aren't coming from that perspective but get really close to demons and angels,
Yeah.
and how coincidentally they can get to biblical scripture. And Adelaide is doing the Wojak to Chelsea right now. So I'm gonna
I
hand
just
it over to
remembered
her.
something that
What
I
did
told
you-
you.
I'll add it to my list.
What did you remember,
Okay,
we'll
Adelaide?
talk about that
Okay.
too. Because we're
One
sharing.
look, God, you guys are so twins. One look, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna add it to my list.
I knew exactly.
And I was
what
like,
you brought
oh
to
my
when
God.
she said that.
So
I know.
And I
we're-
went,
I was
"Aw,
thinking
you
it
were
too.
looking at the
I was
movie
like, oh
too."
no, I forgot. And then she's like, don't worry, I got you.
yeah, I mean, Angela always says, in her famous line, she said it last week on the pod. She said that the horror genre is like, or horror movies are a vision or a vision into hell or something. To that extent, I'm butchering it, but that's her perspective of it, and that's why she finds it
Interesting.
fascinating. I don't necessarily agree with that specific viewpoint, but I think she's correct.
I think
And
it depends on the
depends on it. Like,
movie. And
a lot of things can pull from basically a little view of hell.
And
you
like
know?
I always say, you can learn from anything. Like
I mean,
you can.
when
like,
I think of a little
like-
view of hell, I think of what's that Christmas Carol short with Scrooge McDuck as
Oh,
Ebenezer
Mickey's
Scrooge,
just
Christmas Carol?
classic,
Mickey's Christmas
just
Carol.
classic like fire and brimstone.
Yeah, I'm like Pete's laughing up there, and Scrooge is like into the grave, falling,
Yeah, that's
hanging
probably
on
the
the
most
roots.
violent
That's
version
like-
of that. Yeah.
As a kid, that's as close as hell as I'm getting to it, So anyway,
Not unless you've seen the Pluto short.
oh god, that one
Yeah,
too.
the Halloween one.
And then the one in
Forgot about
the
that.
House of Mouse series, like with the Donald and his three nephews, and they become
Oh
demons
yeah,
or
that
something.
kind of that
in
disturbed
this
me
weird,
as a kid. Yeah.
trippy, totally a callback to early like cartoon Disney stuff.
Yeah,
but
Donald
it
has
was
a nightmare of
messed
them.
up. It was messed up.
I
It
don't
was
remember
messed
that
up.
one.
So we
sick
saw
world we're
we
living
saw it on
in here.
Mouseworks before House of Mouse was a thing.
I don't
It was one of
remember
their
it.
shorts.
We'll have to watch it for
We will.
Halloween.
We'll have to watch about it. You said you forgot about a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah,
We'll have to watch
I don't
too.
really
We'll do that
retain a
later.
lot of information.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
gonna
speaking-
be like, I kind of remember this now.
Yep, that's what I'll see.
That's exactly what you'll say.
But speaking of which, let's just jump right into it. Let's jump into some of our favorites. Adelaide, let's start with you. What's your first favorite horror film that you've brought to the Snarp Fangle table?
So my first one is actually not a horror film. At
Okay.
least the director told people this is not a horror movie.
Okay.
It's Crimson Peak from 2016 by Guillermo del Toro,
Ooh. Okay. Guillermo del Toro.
featuring
Yeah, what do you got here?
Tom Hiddleston, Jessica Chastain, and Mia Wasikowska.
Wasikowska or Wachowski?
That's what it says.
I thought everyone says Wachowski.
No, that's the Wachowskis.
No, but they with an A.
I'm gonna Google this last
Wasikowska.
name. I'm gonna Google this last name.
She's in the Alice in Wonderland Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
great. She's a
Yeah.
great actress.
She was in like an espionage film or something, right?
I don't remember.
I don't remember
I don't
either.
know. So the reason, I guess, Guillermo del Toro had a disclaimer in the first when they were showing it they had like fan screenings and stuff before the film officially was released in theaters. He came out with a microphone and said, "This, what you're looking for, which is a scary movie," because he was known for doing scary movies like Pan's Labyrinth, and he produced Mama, but he didn't direct it. The Devil's Backbone. Those are like ghost stories, scary things. He said, "This is not a scary movie. It's a love story."
Charlie Hunnam's in this?
He said that because of the marketing.
He's the boy who likes her, but she marries the other guy.
He said that because the trailers were not what he wanted.
Oh.
And they said,
Yeah.
but people won't go see it if we don't
But I
advertise
think-
it as a horror.
Well, I think regardless of how people would market it, for Guillermo del Toro fans, I think they would have had some kind of idea of what it could have been
Dude,
like.
Jonathan Hyde's in this?
Yes.
What? That's
He's the
dope.
publisher. I
He's
love
the
that
what?
man.
You're going to be doing that every
He's the
movie
butcher?
you bring
Yeah.
up.
No, the publisher.
Oh, the publisher.
At the publishing company.
Okay.
He's great. So yeah, that's I guess it has some horror elements because the ghosts are classic Guillermo del Toro creepiness.
But there's not enough.
And it's
of them.
about there's a mystery.
What is it about? Like, I've never really.
You
It's
don't know
Tom
what it's
Hiddleston. No, like Tom
So
Hiddleston.
this is
and
a period piece that takes place in the early 1900s about a girl whose mom died when she was very young of
Plague.
lung or something.
Black lung?
cholera or something like that.
Cholera? Yeah.
And in this
One of those
movie-
Victorian diseases.
Yeah, it's like
know.
right after the Victorian era. So it's in the 19th.
It's a Gothic style.
It takes place starting
It's
out
very
in
Gothic,
America, and then you move over into Europe where the brother and sister live. But it's a Gothic romance. So, like, if you're ever familiar with Gothic romance novels, it's usually a woman is the main character. She's whisked away to some Gothic mansion that's like hundreds of years old or whatever.
the man
And-
that is the love interest is always like dominating and like
Yeah, but
Yeah.
depending on where the author wants to do the story, either he's the villain or you think he's the villain or she's just crazy. And there's usually this element of romance in it that, like, yeah, maybe he is an abuser,
yeah,
maybe
it's like
he killed
a forbidden love.
yeah, maybe he killed his wife or his sister or whatever.
It's super melodramatic. Gothic romances are always melodramatic.
Yeah, and then but she still loves him, and yet he's
He
tormenting her.
pains me, but I love him.
So and there may or may not be a ghost involved,
Okay.
and it might be a
Yeah.
murder mystery. You don't know.
Usually the woman just goes crazy.
Yeah, usually by the end of
It's
the book,
always-
the woman always goes crazy.
Let me
or she dies.
guess. In the film, it's actually she saves herself or something. It's a very Guillermo del Toro kind of thing.
Non-spoiler
Not
section.
spoilers section, yeah.
You'll have to watch the movie. But so Guillermo del Toro took his love for, I guess, just the classic Gothic horror genre because he likes to take genres and do his own thing. He's like, let me approach this. He did his kaiju monster movie with Pacific Rim. That was Guillermo del Toro's twist on that.
Yeah.
So this is like his twist on a Gothic romance ghost story. And how his whole theme is that the ghosts aren't really monsters. They're trying to tell us something. And in the movie, they're definitely trying to tell the female character something.
She said, get a timer. I forgot to do that.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I really love this movie. I saw it in theaters. I think I went with my friend, and we had no idea what the movie was going to be about. And yeah, we can talk about it later. But
Forgot.
Yeah, it was funny.
I left
remember
the
you told me.
movie liking some of it, but wanting something. I'm like, I feel like I wasn't very satisfied with that,
something's
like as a
missing.
Guillermo del Toro fan. But then over the years, the more I've watched this movie, I've become a hardcore fan of it. And that's just because the film is more of a character piece layered under the Gothic mystery genre, as opposed to it being a horror movie. The directing, editing, cinematography is very clean.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro knows how to direct.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
clean movie if you've seen any of his stuff. The style of it was inspired by the 1970s film Suspiria about witches or vampires.
Witches,
I think, in a
guess.
ballet.
In a
like,
ballet.
class,
I've never
like,
seen that movie, but
school. It's like a ballet school in
Yeah.
Italy.
so a lot of the stylistically of the film, and then
It's like
I
a
mean,
really
if-
gory 70s movie.
Very, yeah.
with Crimson Peak, if you're paying attention to even just the production design, Guillermo del Toro had his hand in everything because he's like, I want the house to look like this, and I want this hallway to look like an Iron Maiden. and I want her not to be aware that she's in an Iron Maiden. And so like
that's cool.
really, really cool, just cool stuff
I want
like
the
that.
audience to think this
He's
as
a
they look
director
at her
that's-
walking down this hall.
Yeah.
I put him on the same level
that's a
as
great
like,
director.
like a Peter Jackson and stuff. People realize
Yeah.
this guy is freaking brilliant,
Oh yeah.
and he's such a talent. Like, just give him whatever he wants, and you
Oh,
can
yeah.
see that in a lot of.
And
stuff
he had to
he
fight
makes.
for that too.
Yeah.
He's had a push me, pull you relationship with Hollywood ever since he entered into it. So, but yeah, it's Tom Hiddleston's character specifically is what I feel like the movie is the most fascinating part of the movie, because there's a lot of conflict from the audience point of view, and that's why I really love it, is because I was just baffled and so confused about his character. You're like, is he good? Is he
Mm.
not good? Which is what keeps you guessing. But then when it's revealed, you're like, is he good? Is he not good? And I read the tie-in novelization to the movie, written by Nancy. I can't remember her name. Not Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew.
I can't
What?
remember. her
You're
name.
talking about the
What?
writer?
The writer of the novelization.
Oh, the
of
novel.
book.
I don't know.
But the book includes
It
chapters
was old
from
man Williker.
It was Old Man Wilker.
the book includes chapters that are from the ghost's point of view, which you don't get in the movie, which is puts a whole nother layer into that, and it also puts chapters from Tom Hiddleston's character's point of view. So that kind of helped me dig more into like dissecting and analyzing his character, because like every time I watch that movie, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something, and I don't know, it's just really good.
Yeah, Crimson
It definitely does have horror elements in it though. There's like the clay that's the house is sinking into on the
Yeah.
property is
It looks
specifically
straight up.
like blood.
It looks like blood, yeah.
and
that's
so
on purpose.
when the house starts to sink, it looks
and
like
they're like,
blood
why
is, on
is
the
it
walls.
red? And they're like,
That's cool.
oh, it's a really rare kind of clay
Yeah,
that's
it's a
red.
rare
and
kind of
that's why,
gosh.
and it's like,
Well,
right.
That's why he goes to America, is to try and sell the pig, because their clay is so rare and pigmented. that he's trying to sell it,
right.
so.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
why it looks just like blood. Okay.
Yeah, I remember. So this was 2015, I remember. And then The Shape of Water he did right after that, 2 years later. And then he did the whole Tales of Arcadia stuff. After that, he did Nightmare Alley, which me and Ange went to go see in theater.
I need
Did
to
you
see
ever
that.
see that?
Oh,
No, I need to see it.
I was really interested in it.
Really?
I saw like one commercial.
It's a tragedy. It's really good. I'd recommend it. It's like sad.
Someone said it was weird.
It's weird. It's also 2.5 hours, which it doesn't feel like a 2.5 hour movie.
Oh, okay. Well,
It
that's
feels more like a 2 hour
because
run.
we
length.
watched The
but
Prestige the
it-
other night, and we're like, this is a long movie,
It's a
but it
long,
actually.
yeah, but she's long.
Well, isn't that like a 2.5 hour movie? And it was only like exactly 2 hours. We're like, oh, I remember this being a lot longer.
Yeah, Nightmare Alley is a good one. It's I don't personally like would watch it again just because it's a tragedy and it's like I don't no happy ending. I guess
It's not your.
It's not my
cup of tea.
forte.
What genre
but
is
it's like
it?
I can appreciate it for the art, and I think it's really good.
What genre is it? Noir?
It's
Is it like Tales of the Weird,
I guess
like the old school, like
Maybe.
sci-fi?
very
horror?
much like old school, like it's an early 19th century film about a grifter who's Bradley Cooper,
Mhm.
who joins the circus and grifts in the circus.
Right there you go.
Yeah.
Tales of the Weird.
Yeah, Tales of the Weird. Yeah. So
Mm.
it really, all the acting's great, by the way. The acting's great. Also, that beaver person, I can't remember his name. I had him in the cast list here.
The Elephant Man.
Jim Beaver. He likes to put him. He was also in
Jim
Crimson Peak.
Beaver.
That's his name, Jim
I know.
Beaver.
I thought you were talking because it was a circus. I thought
Yeah, I
you
thought
meant
He's
that
in
too.
all of. So Ron Perlman's in it. David Stratham.
Yeah.
Just all those folks. Like, it's a great movie. So also Kate Blanchett. Oh
Yeah.
dang! What a God! She's so good. She's so
What a
dang good in
woman.
it. What a woman! I mean, it's real. But dang, like also William Dafoe's like the ringmaster, I think, or he's some other
course he
character
is.
later
That
on,
guy.
or he's like
I just saw another movie with he's gonna be in it.
Frankenstein.
Nosferatu.
Oh.
Nosferatu.
No, it was another one.
No, which one?
It was another one.
I'm intrigued to see it. Oh, I should have put the witch on here. Nah, I don't like the witch. I was like, I like Robert Eggers.
You like change your
a
mind on
little
the flip
bit.
of a coin. Like,
Well, have you guys seen The Witch?
Yes.
Messed
know.
up movie. Don't
But
watch it.
I
Chelsea.
know all
It
the
is-
spoilers.
do not watch
It is
it.
messed
I know all
up.
the spoilers.
But
I
it's
love
interesting.
I love what's her name?
I know who you're talking
Dang
about.
it,
Yeah,
it's
the big-eyed
not-
girl.
Dang, the big-eyed girl.
Yeah, she's big eyes.
From Furiosa.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember. I
And
love
the
her.
menu.
She's like my favorite actress.
And
She's
the
great.
Mega Block movie. What is that? Playmobil movie.
Sure, she's in that.
Yeah,
How do you know that?
because it was because I wanted to see what was going on because it was competing against the Lego Movie.
Before we get into Robert Edgers, I want to say Guillermo del Toro, he's doing Frankenstein next year, which is coming out.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm excited for that. And after
Mhm.
seeing, like, if you want to get a preview of Frankenstein, watch Nightmare Alley because it's like a descent of a man into madness. And it's
Okay.
really, really freaking good. But man, I'm excited to see what he does with Frankenstein.
Me too.
Also, he did Pinocchio, as which we all know.
Oh yeah,
Let's
not a
don't
horror
forget
movie,
Pinocchio.
but
Can't forget
a
about
beautiful
Pinocchio.
animated film.
God, Pinocchio is so good. But anyway, that's Guillermo del
Is it
Toro.
my turn now?
Yeah,
Do you want
Chelsea,
me
let's
to
go
do?
for it.
Oh wait,
What?
should we do just a quick spoiler comment on a
Oh yeah,
funny
you can
story
if you
about
want.
this movie?
Yeah, for Crimson Peak,
Okay,
go for it. Yeah.
so spoiler section for Crimson Peak.
Spoiler.
Alright, spoiler
for-
alert.
If you haven't
Crimson
seen
Peak.
Crimson Peak, this is spoiler. So,
skip ahead.
the twist. Have you seen it?
No, you can spoil it. I don't
Uh-oh,
care. No, you can
that's-
spoil it.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
What if I close my ears? All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. I can hear you guys laugh.
He's
That's
like,
about it.
You're
I'm
doing like
closing
the
my ears. I can't
cartoon,
hear-
like
I can't hear you.
Well, put your ears down.
Huh?
I'm spoiling it for other people
like,
that
what?
haven't seen the movie,
Okay,
so
I'm
you can
close
go
my
ahead and listen to it if you want.
I don't
but-
care. I'm fine. I think
Okay,
I've heard of this.
so,
ending before.
yeah.
The
just go. For it.
so when she's
I'm like,
when the
I'm like, you know. What'd you
oh,
say?
look at her.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay, so the reveal of the movie is through slow unraveling of her suspecting that the guy she married and fell in love with and whisked her away to Europe, she suspected that he had multiple wives before and he's killed them all.
Oh dang.
The reveal in the movie is that his sister is the one who killed them all
That's
because
cool.
she is crazy. Jessica Chastain's character.
Oh dang.
And that they're in an incestuous relationship.
Yeah. Guillermo del Toro's freaking weird too. By
She
the way.
walks in on them with
No!
and the friend I went to go see this.
Oh, this
with,
was so funny. Allie was telling me.
I was confused about what I was seeing.
You're like,
because I'm like,
what?
what is happening? Like, like what? I was still trying to wrap my head around what was going on. My friend next to you was, oh my god, and she was like, would
Repelled.
close her eyes, would not look at the screen anymore, and she was just utterly disgusted by the fact that it was an incest relationship.
As you should be.
And I was like,
mean,
what is your problem? And she's like, no.
Don't
like,
you
"Ugh."
get it?
She's like, "Ugh." And I'm like, in my head, I was like, maybe it's because she doesn't imagine, like, she would never imagine doing that.
The dots were connected for you yet.
It was so funny.
So, well, also, if you know Victorian literature and something like a gothic romance and like, oh, the melodrama.
Sometimes
like,
that stuff's
it's
in
like
there, yeah.
it's like a tabloid kind of like that's the kind of drama you're going for. Because back in the day, that's the Penny Dreadfuls would do that all the time.
Yeah.
They would do it all the time.
It's a lot.
It
in
was
British
trash media.
stuff as well. It's trash.
I don't know. It was just really funny. So,
yeah, her.
but the conflict there for me is like his character, Tom Hiddleston's character, and because you're left guessing through the whole movie because it's all from Mia Wasikowska's character's point of view. It's not from anyone else's point of view until it's revealed. After the reveal, and she's injured and she's dying because they're slowly poisoning her to keep her there, slowly killing her, and that's how they did
Another
all
cliche.
the wives and everything.
Yeah.
That's a cliche in the gothic horror. He says, "I don't want to do this anymore." And you're like, okay, so at what point in their lives did he decide I don't want to do this anymore? And so I'm left thinking that, and the book goes a little bit more into it because it's suggested that his sister has such a strong hold over him. And they go more into like their backstory, like how their parents were abusive and they had to cling to each other for survival in the household, regardless of what their class status was. So I don't know.
Weird.
It's just a fascinating character.
You can't justify it.
No, you can't justify killing
But I think
people.
they're trying to explain.
It's
a
just
little.
interesting because you don't see it a lot in the horror genre or anything else. A lot of times characters are clean cut and sometimes they're gray, but never to this point. Because I'm still baffled by him, and I'm like,
That's kind
so
of a
at
good
what
way to
point
explain
did
it.
you actually say you decide you loved her? Because at the end of he tells her, I realize I do love you, and I don't want to
His
be with
wife.
my toxic
His wife.
sister anymore. So
Good.
it's really, really interesting. So yeah, it's more of a character mystery around his character.
Yeah, so like it's not horror at all. I think she sees ghosts twice.
some
and
themes
that's
No,
of
it.
she
horror.
sees several ghosts and how they like got killed, so they're gross looking.
Yeah,
They're
but
like
I feel
women
like it
who
was
are
only
mutilated.
like twice though.
It's
like,
your mom.
I went into it expecting what I thought
pregnant
from
wife.
the trailers, because the trailers were terrible marketing because they made it seem like a horror movie. And I was expecting a lot of like,
yeah, I think-
some scares.
I remember
oh, yeah.
hearing about that.
It's-
They're like, ooh, spooky.
And then people
It's
said,
like,
okay, it's not
well,
that.
it's
Don't
more
expect
about
that. And
it.
I said, okay.
But if
I
you're
still want
not-
to see some ghosts.
If you're not the kind of person who likes horror movies because that stuff, you don't like that stuff, I think it's scary for those kind of
like,
people.
go see this for the melodrama and the mystery. Don't go in for the spooky stuff because it's not what it's about.
I would
the-
rather say go in for character. For the
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're going to be left puzzled over.
Also, that's one thing I kind of want to bring up with horror films. Like, a lot of folks want to dive into horror just because it's like there's spooky or there's slasher stuff. But and that stuff's fine and dandy. But I feel like I
You
don't
go for
know.
the
That's not
thrill,
what I
right?
always look for in horror films. But when I get stuff like what I was talking about earlier, like spirituality stuff or ghosts or that connection,
yeah,
that's
that's your interest.
Or just the gore fest
Which is in this
also kind of
movie.
fun too. You know. So-
Like the
Yeah, that's the
ghosts
opposite of
and
me. Like, I don't like Gorefest stuff at all.
Yeah.
They
But
do
this is
dive
like-
a little bit into
This is
because
just a good
ghosts
film
are
from
all
what I
different.
remember.
Even though it's Guillermo
Yeah.
del Toro movie,
Yeah.
ghosts are all different. Like in
Mm.
Devil's Backbone, I feel like the world building around the spirituality there is different than in this movie. And like how the people died matters in this movie. And that affects how they can communicate with the main character, because the main character, without saying it, she's she has the sixth sense. And she can see ghosts,
gift.
but nobody else can. So
Hmm.
the ghost part of it and the spirituality, like the world, what's it called, the veil, beyond the veil,
Yeah.
is explored too, because around this time in actual history, ghost mania was a thing, so
Yeah.
people were attending
seances were
and
huge,
Right.
huge.
trying to reach the other side and stuff like that. There was an
Right.
obsession there, so that's when this movie takes place.
So much so that people were making businesses off of it,
Oh,
off of
yeah.
exploiting
Yeah.
people's feelings.
And if you want to learn more about that, watch Nightmare Alley. It's
Oh,
that's
well, there
what-
you go.
That's what that's all about.
You
Because he's,
sold me.
because he's a grifter, and he goes from one thing to the next. It's really
yeah, he's
interesting.
just trying to make,
Okay.
trying to keep it over.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's my
there's a
movie.
peek, yeah.
All right,
All right,
I'm gonna
Chelsea.
very quickly explain my first
All
one.
right, you go do that. I'm gonna grab my laptop charger real quick.
Okay.
Go for it.
Wait, what's
See you
your
later.
What's your first one?
So Chelsea is speaking right now.
If you couldn't tell,
No, we sound exactly the same,
Yeah.
right? When we listen back to each other.
I think my voice is a little deeper, but
I think so too.
continue.
All right, my first horror movie that I chose, because I wanted to highlight an old movie, and I feel like there's a lot of classic Hollywood, even the B movie cheesy stuff. It's still, I don't know. I feel like it's still a lot of it still holds up today.
Yeah,
Like,
Night of the Living Dead. I feel like that's
so that's like a benchmark one for sure,
Mhm.
for sure.
Right.
Broke some barriers.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
But like entertainment wise, like I still enjoy The Blob, but I enjoyed watching that as a kid, even though it terrified the crap.
Is
out
that
of
like
me.
nostalgia? Like,
See, that's what I don't know, but I feel like it's still a very scary and unsettling movie because it's an
It's a
unstoppable
B
force.
movie,
It is a B
but
movie.
you're right.
Well, so is this one that I chose.
Okay, what is
So
it?
the one I chose is okay. My first horror movie is a B movie, and I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like B movies are still relevant today. Not relevant. That's not the word I'm looking for. They're entertaining, at least I think.
Yeah,
So I chose House on Haunted
Haunted
Hill.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
Oh my god,
1959.
there's so many movies
that are called
with these
that, yeah.
words in the title.
It's
Switched
also-
around.
It's 1959,
This
right?
is 1959.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
The important part is that Vincent Price was in it.
yeah.
That's the only thing you're really gonna know.
Oh,
And it was only an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Dang.
It feels longer though.
Technically a movie.
It
Yeah.
feels longer though because it's a B movie.
It does feel
Because the
longer.
editing isn't good.
so I guess Riff
but
Tracks
I'm-
did do that one.
Yeah, Riff Tracks did it. Yeah.
Yeah, Riff Tracks did it. So I'm highlighting this one. I did a lot of exploring. I wanted to So we didn't watch horror movies growing up. Like mom and dad were not people who were into like the horror craze at all or anything.
They were not people.
No, and not everybody
I'm
is,
joking.
right? Not
Yeah.
everybody's mom and dad are into stuff like that. But I became curious after I became an adult and was going to college. I was like, well, I want to know about all these movies I didn't see. And I did that with animated movies and I did it with all these other foreign films and stuff. I was like, well, I want to know more about horror movies. So I literally went on Wikipedia and I went on a whole list of every horror
man.
movie like ever. I tried to do that.
That's cool.
And I just looked up like what they were all about and it all kind of blends together anyway. But I love Vincent Price so much. Like I fell in love with him when I bought an audio CD from Barnes & Noble of him reading just Edgar Allan Poe because I was obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe.
That's cool.
Because of course. And he's just so great. Like what a great person too. And like
Yeah.
if he was still alive, like I found out too late, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
wish he was still around when I discovered him. But,
Yeah.
that's how it goes. And he was still alive when I was born,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is really sad to know now. But the movie is about I can't remember who invites all these people to this house.
It's
I haven't seen-
him.
A millionaire
is it
offers
him?
$10,000 to 5 people
Yeah,
who
it's
agree to be
him.
locked
But
in
I can't
a
remember if
large
it's him or his wife because him and his wife were always jabbing at each other. They're always trying to kill each other.
with him and his wife is what it
Yeah.
says. Yeah.
And so you never really know who's kind of really behind it all back and forth, except for the last person who survives in the movie, which is spoilers. And but this whole thing is just him and her getting after they're constantly getting revenge on each other back and forth.
Yeah.
Like trying to scare
like
each
that
other,
dynamic.
trying
I
to
like
get
that
each
a lot.
other's like
It's like
what is it?
the
Like
kids out
own
there-
age of the
Yeah, but
marriage
the
or
script,
whatever.
for
if
the
you-
kids out there, it's like prank versus prank. Actually,
Yeah,
the
but
kids
it's their
would not know
lives.
what
I
that
don't-
is.
I
Never
don't
mind.
even know
the
what
kids
that
won't
is.
even know what that is on
And
YouTube.
it's so funny because like they are like playing. It really is kind of like pranks because it's like, well, if they hit each other, I know
thought
they're
it was
trying
like
to kill
they
each
keep,
other.
Yeah, I
but,
thought they keep trying to kill each other.
Yeah, they keep
I've
trying
only
to
seen the
kill
first
each
15
other.
minutes.
But it's like, and like they're in the room. Whenever they're in a room alone together, they're like, I can't stand the
Yeah.
sound of your voice,
So I
my
was just gonna
darling. And so
say-
it's like, what?
I was just gonna say like the script around their dialogue
Yeah,
back
it's
and
really
forth
bad.
between
Yeah,
each other
it's
is
very
pretty
hokey,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they're all really having fun doing it, which is another reason why B movies are so great to watch a lot of the time. Not all of them, but this is one of the best ones. And what solidified it for me was not just Vincent Price, but the skeleton.
Okay, look at the IMDb. Look who's listed in the IMDb right here.
Howard Hoffman.
There's a
There's a profile.
skeleton.
There's a
just says
profile of a
skeleton.
Yeah, and then
skeleton
it
and
says
it
who
says
plays it?
skeleton.
Skeleton.
Someone had to edit that. Dude.
I think so. It's like a perfect
that
picture of him.
solidified it for me. I was like, this is the best movie.
It's the
ever.
best movie ever. Yeah.
Well, okay, so we bought like at Walmart. They had like the 50 classics in
Oh my
in a binder or whatever that you could buy in a volume, and we started watching them. It has the original Dracula, the original Frankenstein, the original Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Yeah.
and this movie is on it. And
Yeah.
so
It was like a $5 bin.
it was
Walmart
$5,
thing, and it has
50 black and white
50
movies.
movies on it for
50
$5.
movies.
And it says
Whoa.
classic horror.
Give me one
and
second. Hang on.
what's his name? Cheney is on the cover.
50
Les
divided
Cheney?
by
No,
wait.
the Dracula.
Lon Cheney. I gotta look him
Not
up now.
So what
sorry,
it-
not Dracula. He was also like Phantom
He
of
was,
the Opera.
yeah. Lon Chaney.
Lon
was
Chaney.
Lon
Yeah,
Lon
yeah,
Chaney,
yeah.
yeah.
who was fan of the opera?
Yeah.
Wait, how would you do the math for that? Like, how many cents is each movie? Because if it's
50
$5
movies for $5,
I don't know.
10 cents a movie.
Anyway, that's my
no,
movie.
wait, no. It'd be no, that'd be 10. Yeah, it'd be 50. It'd be 10 cents a movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That movie was only 10 cents.
I mean, I think it's worth a little more than that.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, sure.
But- Anyway, that's my first movie.
Yeah, I remember you watching this, and I was like, "Man, this is boring. I'm going to the other room." But it's like a staple.
I don't know. I had like a huge
is
love
stuff that-
for like.
This stuff Camille del Toro was growing up watching. You know?
Right,
Like,
right.
A lot of
Right.
it, this inspired a ton of stuff later on, as hokey as it may be.
And me and Adelaide grew up with a lot of old stuff. Like, I mean, a lot of people our age or older grew up with stuff like on VHS.
Yeah.
There weren't DVDs or anything or streaming back then. So you had whatever was either lying around or was able to rent and stuff like that. And a lot of it was I would say bargain bin Disney, but literally it's from Disney. So it was like all their shorts that nobody really talked about because they could sell it for cheap or whatever.
Yeah.
In like volumes. So we watched a lot of black and white cartoons.
Well, those were actually collections, like the silver case ones.
No, this was before that.
Oh, it was before that.
No, that was when
Oh.
DVDs were around.
That was
This is
DVDs.
before that. People didn't even know what those were.
Okay.
So we would see them like on TV, too, during Halloween specials and Disney Channel and stuff.
Hmm.
And so we watched a lot of old stuff growing up. We watched the original Blob. We watched.
Oh yeah.
I love like Clash of the Titans, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
original. Like
So good.
like speaking of horror,
Voyage of
if
Sinbad.
you want to check out those monsters, those are really terrifying
Yeah,
monsters.
Ray Harryhausen monsters are
The
pretty
directing in Clash of
fire.
Titans though is more horror though than a lot of his monster stuff is.
Oh, because of Medusa.
Is that
and
just because
stuff.
limbs get
Yeah.
cut off
Like-
and stuff like that?
Well,
Like,
yeah, dude, the Medusa scene,
Yeah, Medusa's.
the
freaky.
witches aren't Ray
Yeah, the
Harryhausen's work,
witches.
but that is
Yeah.
disgusting.
They're pretty
like,
It's
wow.
a,
silly.
it's a creepy film. It's a creepy film.
Calabas?
Calabas.
That is
badass.
horror right
Oh
there.
yeah.
That is horror.
Is he the skeleton dude?
No, he's the
Who's
son who
Calabas?
gets mutated into
He's
a
Oh
like
Satan.
that
yeah.
curse.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
messed up. Yeah.
The shadow scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mom and me were watching that one night, the remake that they
Uh-huh.
did.
Yeah, the
and
action one.
It's
And
interesting.
I love it. I
like
love it.
I
I
like
love
it.
it.
It's good.
I like
you know?
that
I'm a
movie.
hardcore fan of the old
And
one. I
it
still
does
love
a good job
Yeah.
calling back to the original.
Yeah,
like it
it's
has
really
the owl
fun.
as a cameo. Okay, that's cute. But all the designs and even the
That's
Medusa
cute.
itself, like there's no skeletons. Like, well, that's a different Ray Harryhausen movie.
That's Jason and the
that's Jason
Argonauts.
and the
That's
Argonauts.
later. Yeah.
But it's a good movie. I like it. Anyway,
I love it.
so House
Alright,
on
Jake's
Haunted
turn.
Hill. All right, so let's see. My turn. Let me see what I got here. So my first pick. Also, I'm gonna do more contemporary stuff. Like I was thinking about maybe like Evil Dead or something, but I'm gonna pick 3 films here that are more like I'd recommend people see. Or I don't know if I'd recommend them all.
Well, I did ones too that I wanted people to kind of check out.
yeah, I
so
would want them to check these out. I
Yeah.
guess too. So
It doesn't have to be the greatest horror movie of all time.
no. I'm gonna start with Don't Breathe, 2014, directed
Oh,
by Fede Alvarez.
the blind old man.
The
one?
blind old man movie. Yeah. So you
Guy
got
from Avatar.
yeah, the guy from Avatar.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
Stephen
oh,
Stephen
yeah.
Lang. Stephen Lang.
Ah.
And basically the plot is 3 delinquents break into a house set in Detroit. And this blind veteran dude's in there, but he's a blind veteran and he can kick some butt. And
Yeah, he don't need his eyeballs.
And you don't need his eyeballs. And he goes around and hunts them in his house as a blind man.
He's
is this a horror or is it like
It's definitely
suspense,
a horror.
action
and
more?
It's
No,
horror
it's a
suspense.
horror.
Because as you go through the movie and you figure out what
Does he
else
kill
is
them
in
in
his-
different
Doesn't
ways?
that mean it's a slasher?
No, not
no,
necessarily.
a
Because
slasher.
they're
No, a
delinquents.
It has-
slasher.
They're delinquents that stuck into his house.
No,
That-
Ad,
you know
a
what?
slasher means that the killer in a slasher movie is treated like a monster. It goes. It
Wouldn't that
specifically is
qualify?
designed to be
I
treated
don't know
like
if
Wouldn't
I
he
qualify
qualify?
it.
No,
Just
he
because it
wouldn't
has
qualify.
delinquents. If
No.
it was like good kids
Just
going into
because
the
there's
house,
delinquents.
if there was good kids going in there breaking into his house, then it's a different story.
No, that's not different because the kids
What?
in Freddy movies and Jason movies are.
What if it's a kid across the street that's like he has a rich fortune? I need to save my family because we're getting evicted. This is my only way out. And then
Is
his
that
best
in the
friend-
movie?
No.
Oh.
I'm just
No,
making
he's
it up.
giving an example.
So like,
Oh,
I don't think it's a slasher.
I've never
film.
seen this
Slasher.
movie.
It's all horror suspense, mostly suspense.
Yeah.
But it's got some messed up stuff toward the end of the
That's
film.
why I don't want to watch it.
And we can fast forward that. But
You-
that's
it's an
what
experience.
as you go through the house in the film and they're getting the kids, he's hunting the kids. Like they're hiding from him and then they're like going around him because they can divert him. There's one point where I think there's something that causes a loud ringing sound and it hurts his ears and that allows them to like sneak around him.
Yeah,
and stuff
do
like
fun
that.
stuff like
really
that.
cool
in
stuff.
The movie.
And Fede
yeah.
Alvarez did the Evil Dead remake and also did the most recent Alien Romulus. And
Oh,
Which
Adelaide,
I did
there you
like.
go.
Alien Romulus.
I
is
already
great.
said that could be something on its own.
So anyway,
No, but I mean, like he did it.
Don't
so-
Breathe.
yeah, I know he did
I
it.
highly recommend it. There's some like very strange, weird, messed up stuff in the end, but that is kind of makes it more interesting because there's more more flavor, we'll say, to the
What?
story.
It says
Ew.
it came out in 2016.
Oh, was it 2016? I'm sorry. Maybe the Blu-ray. I have the IMDb literally right here. Sorry, 2016.
well, I'm like, does that mean it came out the same time Crimson Peak?
Crimson Peak was 2015. This was 2016.
Oh.
Evil Dead remake was 2013. So
Oh.
this was about 3 years after he did the Evil Dead remake, which was also great. Oh my gosh. But I recommend Don't Breathe. I remember watching this. I bought the Blu-ray because I heard a good recommendation off of it. Watched it at home. really thought it was great. And I still haven't seen the second one, which I think was like 2021 or 2020 or
Did
something.
Fede
Oh, wow.
Alvarez do it?
Okay.
He did
like a
not do
couple
the
years
sequel,
ago.
but I heard great things about the sequel.
Really?
In fact, in the sequel, he's more of a good guy because it's
That's
people who are
cool.
breaking into his house are like home invaders. And there's a
Okay.
young girl that he has to protect. And it's like, oh, this is going to be like a badass
see,
veteran
okay.
protecting this kid,
Yeah.
you know? So they change it up.
Why though?
I don't know. I want to see
That's why you
it.
gotta watch it.
It seems like less of a horror and more of a suspense action.
It's
film.
like Taken.
kind,
like
not really.
No.
Not really.
Uh,
But it's like he has to protect the house from home invaders with guns and all this stuff, not just some kids.
Actual
I
invaders.
don't know.
And you
bro,
know the
but-
backstory of all the stuff he did in the first one.
Right.
So it's like, oh, he's still a messed up person. But it's kind of cool. So
Okay.
I'd recommend Don't Breathe. But
That's what makes the sequel. That's what gives it the sequel a new flavor because it's not rehashing the same thing. Whenever a sequel comes out, you're like, okay, I want to see something.
Yeah,
that
it's like,
I
where do you
loved
go
in the
from
first
here?
One, but I want them to do something different.
yeah, like what do you go from
What
here?
has me
And in this case,
shaking-
it's a character perspective.
What has me
thing.
shaking my head about it is you have the first movie, which you just described, and I'm thinking that's a great. Because I remember watching the trailer, thinking, "Wow, that's a cool
Yeah, it's a
concept
cool
for a
concept,
scary
yeah.
movie."
I saw the trailer and I was like, whatever. It looks stupid.
Because I'm like someone like you have your killer, but he's blind.
But he's blind.
Right? I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, what an
Isn't that
interesting
neat?
concept
Yeah.
because then they play around with like
And it's
the
totally
the
logical.
sequel is the
algorithm
killer,
and
but he's
everything.
deaf.
And then
What, he can't hear?
you just go down the level of disabilities, like
He doesn't have his
In a way-
legs.
Lieutenant Dan.
That's so
oh my
bad.
god.
In the 18th installment, he doesn't have his big toe.
I know.
Okay, anyway.
And then moving on
No,
to the
he
se-
no,
Well,
he
that's what I
has
was saying.
ADD.
I'm like, okay, what an interesting concept.
Oh my
And you're like,
gosh.
oh, what do you go from here? You make him the good guy. And I'm just like, oh, come on. Now you're just monopolizing.
I
off
don't
of it.
know if he's fully the good guy though in the sequel. Like
See,
it
yeah,
seems
yeah,
like
All right,
that
you're
might be
right.
what's
I'm
happening.
judging it before I even
But
saw
like
it,
he's
but-
got to defend his home. That's a big theme in the first one. He's got to protect his house. We must protect this house. Like in Red vs. Blue, we must protect
So
this
it's
house.
Home Alone.
Yes, it's Home Alone basically. Like he is a blind guy.
But he's 7 years
He's
old.
Kevin McAllister who's messed up life, grew up and blind, and was in the army apparently.
There you go.
Somehow
So-
okay,
If
so
people are interested, it's on Stars and Apple TV, or no, it's on Apple to
you
rent.
could probably rent it anywhere.
But yeah, it's on Stars, and you can rent it pretty much anywhere. So
Kevin McAllister would be like the bomb diffuser guy.
the bomb diffuser guy.
I don't know. He's good with traps and stuff.
Oh, like he's breaking into the house?
No, like in the army.
Oh, he's the Hurt Locker.
Because you
Or
said
Kevin
you
McAllister
said
as
Kevin
the Hurt
McAllister,
Locker.
but except he did this and then he went to the army. I was like, oh, what would he do in the army? Like, oh,
Maybe that's how he went blind. A bomb went off.
like
The
kids,
bomb went off.
the kids
Oh my
break in,
God.
and he's all like, it's one of the thieves' names, Marv and Harry. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, they found me again.
It's their kids or something.
oh my
And he's
Oh
just
my
crazy. He thinks that
gosh.
they've chased him all his life because they
But-
keep showing up. Like,
Yeah, it's a very tense film. I recommend it. It's a good watch.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Adelaide, what's your next one?
My second movie is I just kind of wanted to give Jordan Peele some love
Yeah.
because I feel like as much as I do love his movies, I
earned
don't
it.
really talk about his movies a lot.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
my favorite movie Jordan Peele has directed, and it says writer and director, is Us.
Yeah, he wrote and directed all of them.
So that's the one where, like, if you don't know Jordan Peele, but you probably
what
don't get
year
out.
is that one?
You probably don't get out.
2019?
Yeah, 2019
Yeah,
for us.
2019. Yeah.
Right before COVID. Dang. Let me get my notes here. I think everything about Jordan Peele films, you can expect a good time no matter how you feel about him. So I feel like Us is one of his movie that people went in because he came out with Get Out.
Yeah.
People are like, whoa,
That was great.
what an amazing debut. And then
Mhm.
like a
Yeah.
twist and
The Key and
whoa.
Peele guy's making a movie?
It was like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, it was a
What?
Twilight
I
Zone,
remember
yeah.
that because I remember everybody was like, "You." I think it was you who told me. You're like, "It's Jordan Peele," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
the
What-
guy
you're
from
like,
Key and Peele?
and someone said,
Matt
Key and Peele. And I'm
TV.
like,
Matt TV.
Wait, what? I was like, that guy? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And then like
No.
we saw the trailer. I was like, but that looks like way serious.
Yeah,
like Get Out.
serious,
I
yeah.
was like, what?
And it was shoot, I need to look this up, but it was one of the first big not A24, what are they called? Blumhouse. It
Blumhouse.
was one of the first
yeah,
big
Blumhouse
Blumhouse
did
films that
produce it,
came
yeah.
out that they produced. It was one of their bigger hits that came out.
And now he has his own production company, Monkey Pop.
yeah, Monkey
yeah.
Pop, which is now I think owned by Blumhouse. No, he's still independent.
No,
I was
he
thinking
owns
about
it. I was like, what?
I was thinking about James Wan's company. Them and Blumhouse partnered up, and now they're one
Yeah,
company.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
Which we'll talk about later. But
Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, everything about a Jordan Peele movie, like despite how you feel about it, you're gonna have a good time no matter what, and you're gonna enjoy whatever mystery is going on because there's always an element of mystery. And whether it's this one, I would label as a slasher film because of how much violence is in it.
Definitely.
And the
Yeah.
bad guys in it, like the killers and stuff. Like it's like his take on a slasher film.
Yeah, Get Out was like a thriller.
Yeah.
Like people getting kidnapped.
Get
and
Out was
stuff.
like the cult horror.
Yeah,
Cold
and this
horror,
one's like
yeah.
a slasher, and then
Nope.
Nope is a creature feature.
Is a creature feature. Yeah. I think his next one he's going ghosts.
Oh,
I don't know.
we
We don't know anything yet, but it's got-
That would be so
I'm gonna
cool.
look
Not
that
a
up now.
football player right now.
Oh
No
man,
way,
the
really?
one day where him and Guillermo del Toro will collab on a movie. Oh, what a good day that will be.
And then the rapture's gonna happen when that
Oh,
happens.
no.
And like it's gonna be so good, such a good team up. The rapture will happen.
they will be the reason.
Everyone's like, oh, they all ascend into heaven because of Guillermo del Toro and Jordan Peele. Anyway,
no.
so I feel like with this movie though, this one is like his least appreciated out of his three so far.
Absolutely.
Because even
really good, though.
even I was left confused. Like what? But when the movie credits rolled, you're like, what was that movie about?
It's the most thought provoking.
Because then you start thinking about, you're like, there's all these plot holes, and you're like, realistically, how does that happen?
And you're going like you're not only trying to fill in the blanks, you're also trying to figure out why they showed a bunch of imagery they did, like with the rabbits and everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, why did we sit for a full like minute and a half on these rabbits?
And I
Like,
think a lot of that is more, I feel like this movie I feel like Nope and Get Out are more like each other. Not because Daniel Kaluuya is the lead in both of them, but because those are more, I guess, real, grounded in a little bit more reality of what could happen. This is more of like symbolism.
This is more like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
This is, I would say it's a Twilight Zone.
I feel like all of them are, but
all of them kind of are.
This
Except
He
for
is
also
more
did the
out
remake
there.
series.
this is
of
more
that.
out there though.
this one's more exploring a concept and symbolism, and the symbolism of duality and
duality.
themes about the self. And I would argue also
Yeah.
mental illness when you look at the main character, Adelaide. Like,
trauma.
you're like,
Trauma.
yeah, you're like, what's going on there? Like, if you don't look at it as the in-world movie, what's going on, if you look at it like, what is this supposed to represent? I would definitely say mental illness and like what trauma can do to people
Yeah.
is more of what it's more about the message and the theme as opposed to realistically what's going on, like his other
Yeah.
movies. So I feel like
Well,
that's
I don't
why
think
it's
it's
more
trying to be realistic at all. I think
No.
it's trying to be thought provoking.
Yeah.
All of his stuff is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it still has that lightheartedness. There's still funny stuff in it, like the banter between the characters, and then Winston Duke's character is always
I
like,
feel like
Oh, dude,
in all of
Winston
his
Duke's so good in this
movies,
film.
I feel
He's
like
the
in all
comic
of
relief.
his movies, that is just done so brilliant. Like the balance between comedy, like saying
And
a joke
horror.
in the middle of something really horrifying
Yeah.
and scary and stuff, and then you're like laughing. Like in Nope, there's like the part in the barn or whatever where you think like these creatures are there, and you find out it's not these
oh
creatures.
yeah.
And then like his sister comes up and just like the like just the timing of their dialogue, and she's like, man, like
Yeah.
it's just funny stuff like that. Like, but it's done so perfectly.
Yeah.
You know?
So for the spoiler section of this movie,
Well, one second before we
Oh,
continue on, I
okay.
do want to say, so far the next film from Jordan Peele, it still doesn't have a title. The date is
He had
10/23/26.
on Twitter,
No, I think it's different because I'm trying to look it up here. I'm not finding it. There's like some random website that's like, oh, it's confirmed to be Daniel Kaluuya, and we don't know that yet though. But the release date is in 2026. 10/23/2026. And then I think the theory is Winston Duke is coming back for some role. But it's him or Daniel Kaluuya.
based on the poster that he revealed on Twitter.
Oh, it was John Boyega. That was it. It's
Ah.
theorized that he's going to be in the next Jordan Peele movie. But that's all we can theorize at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Daniel Kaluuya again.
When was Nope done?
Nope was 2020. 2022.
Oh, it's only 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years
Okay,
ago.
well, we
Yeah.
probably got another year before he actually
And it's
announces
funny we
it.
brought up Monkey Man earlier because he produced Monkey Man.
Yeah.
Because Monkey Man was going
So
to
that's
go
probably what he
straight
was
to
Monkey
doing.
Paw Studios produced.
Monkey Man.
Monkey Man.
And that was going to go
They
straight
gotta make
to
a Donkey Kong movie.
that was going to be straight
There are
to
too many monkey movies already.
Oh,
Look at
is
the
this a
King Kong
gorilla
movie.
one? Is this the ape movie? You know, it's like mom. yeah.
The gorilla.
The gorilla movie.
There's like 10
There's
gorilla
like 10
movies.
gorilla
What are you
movies.
talking
huh?
about?
You're talking about Kong. You're talking about apes. Which
talking
one?
about Tarzan?
Talking about Tarzan.
Which Tarzan are you talking about?
Gorilla.
No,
But
just
he-
talk about Transformers.
Yeah, she was. It was
But-
Transformers.
Monkey Man was going to go straight to Netflix, and Jordan Peele saw it, and he said, "No, this is getting a full theatrical release." And good thing they did because they made some money off of it.
Yeah.
So that's good. Anyway, spoilers for us.
So yeah, I just think this movie is like the most action packed out of his 3 so far, because number one, it's a slasher, so they're constantly being chased by their other selves.
I
What
agree
are they
with
called?
that. Yeah.
The tethered.
Yeah.
They're being chased by the tethered. And if you
That
don't
one
know,
little black girl running down the street, and she's like, "I'll give you," and she's like, "Oh, she'll give you a head start because she always catches her prey or whatever."
yeah,
And then you turn around and go like, "Oh my god!"
oh yeah, if you don't know what this movie's about, it's about doppelgangers.
Yeah,
like evil doppelgangers,
It's
like how that can happen.
Dude,
Yeah,
the-
just the climax of this movie where it's like the final showdown between the main character and her other self
Yeah.
is like one of the best
I feel like-
scenes I've ever
I feel like
seen
the
on film.
scariest thing about this whole movie is Lupita's voice as the other version.
She's
Oh my
creepy.
god, she's so
Her
good in
eyes
it.
are just constantly wide open, and she looks like she's constantly in pain trying to talk.
Yeah.
And
Which I guess
she's
the
like just
character's supposed
choking
to
out
be.
every word, and she's smiling the whole
It's
time.
hard
and crying,
to
and it's
listen
like,
to her.
what's happening? You're like confused, and it's really terrifying because you're like,
yeah.
I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea what this person is going to do. Like when they
Yeah.
first invade the house, and she explains the whole story about why they're there or whatever, and then they each take a family member in the other room, and you're like, oh my god, I don't like this. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
And then like the big reveal is that their doppelgangers are not the only doppelgangers in the movie, that they're actually doppelgangers for every person in America.
Yeah.
And that they all start killing every person in America to form this line for hands
Yeah, the
across
hands
America.
across America.
And
recreation
which
or
still
whatever.
has never been figured out, but people theorize.
And I think that's like why people see this as the lesser of his films, because there are a lot of open questions, a lot of open interpretations, as well as a lot of just like, huh? At the end of the film. But I think that can be its strength too, because the interpretation kind of keeps you wondering and keeps you engaged in the film, especially, and it keeps you thinking on the film too. I don't need an answer
Yeah.
for every single thing.
Right.
And
And
I think
we're still thinking about it still because we're like,
Oh, yeah.
what does it mean? You know,
Years later, it's definitely a thought-provoking movie. I feel like it's his most thought-provoking one, other than Get Out, because that brought in the theme of like race and stuff
Well,
like
I
that.
feel like
what
that was
means.
very straightforward though.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, that's what this is about. Okay.
Yeah. So
And they explained everything in that. so.
yeah, Us is my favorite Jordan Peele movie out of the 3 he's made so far, and we'll have to see when his new movie comes out.
My favorite's Nope because it's a creature feature and it was just so fun to
was
see
great,
all the puzzle
right?
pieces fall into place because it's 3 acts of the movie and it literally
Mm.
says like act 1, this is what it's called, act 2, this is what it's called, and then finally act 3, like the name of the monster or whatever.
and it has so
Mhm.
many different elements that just like you said, they all form together
yeah.
too, you know.
And then like as it reveals stuff, it keeps taking you back in the past and you keep going, oh yeah, I forgot they showed that at the beginning of the movie. What was that
Yeah.
about? And then like it all
and
slowly
then it slowly
into
falls into place. Yeah.
It's so great. And then the reveal
Yeah.
of the monster is just so great.
No, it's not that. That's Google being stupid.
What did Google say?
It said the new movie's called Him, Him.
It says that's from Variety.com.
Oh wait, can you go to that article?
Yeah, hang on.
Source it.
Because I go to IMDb, there's nothing updated. They would update it, hopefully. I don't know.
Variety's just trying to
So-
get views.
I couldn't find the other post. So it was from his Twitter page.
Well,
He
I just went to his-
posted a
oh, wait.
picture, and it was of a bunch of hands coming out of a football helmet.
Yeah, one second, let me.
And he
Ooh.
said, "Here's the teaser for my next movie or something."
let me-
and I was
Maybe
like,
they had him take it
"What?"
down.
One second, I wasn't on my account when I went to his.
I couldn't find it.
No,
on
he doesn't
mine.
have one.
So what might have happened was maybe it was an accident post, or maybe they said, okay, post it, and then someone said, wait, never mind, take it down.
Yeah,
We're
maybe
gonna
the
wait to
marketing
reveal
team's like,
something, blah,
wait,
blah, blah.
no, what are you doing?
Yeah, because I go on his official Twitter. The last
intern
one he
screwed
did
up.
was his pin tweet is the trailer for Monkey Man, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
the last tweet he did was in June.
I
So
checked
yeah,
it a
if
couple
he
minutes
did
ago,
post
too.
anything,
Yeah, so-
it was probably like, shoot, okay, quick, take it down. We're gonna reveal it in this many months.
I don't
You
know.
know.
I'm excited.
Whatever it is, I'm down.
Me too.
This guy is 3 for 3 so far. Hopefully he keeps going. I wouldn't be surprised he gets a couple sneakers in the way. But you know what? Even if it is, I get to see in theaters. You know? So we got 2 years to wait though, so that's gonna be a little bit of a wait.
Man.
Yeah. But hey, the writer's strike
Oh,
pushed it back.
man.
It was gonna come out this year. But the writer's strike from last year had pushed it.
No, I want writers to have fair pay.
I mean,
so.
I'm not saying it was bad
No.
that it happened. I'm
No.
just saying that's how it is. So.
Kinda shit.
Chelsea, what's your second one?
So my second one, I decided to go with I just saw another horror movie in that list that I was like, man.
You do this every time. You're like,
Never mind,
here's
I'm
my
gonna-
next one. Oh wait, I just thought of this
No,
one.
I'm gonna stick with what I got.
Okay, cool.
And I wanted to go with an animated movie.
All right.
Because that's my bread and butter is children's media
Bread and
or
butter.
animated media as well. Even if it's like an adult animated movie, whatever, but it's children's media is my main bread and butter. And that's why I love kids horror. I love reading kids horror books. I love eating that stuff up. Like, you go to the library and they got all that stuff in there. They got all that
Goosebumps.
there's Goosebumps. It's what's his name who did
Scary
the
Stories
House
to
of the
Tell
Clock
in
and
the
as well as the
Dark.
book and stuff. I mean, people who know. I didn't read those growing up, but kids who have gone to the library and have read everything know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, there's all this middle grade horror out there, and a lot of it is actually really scary, like actually terrifying, even as an adult. And you're like, wait, this is in the kids section,
Yeah.
and it's like it is.
That's
But it can be labeled as kids can still have something horrifying as long as it's not explicit, right? That could actually do some damage.
I don't
I
know.
beg to differ.
Yeah,
though,
I do
because
too.
of those scary
Yeah.
stories to tell in the dark books. Have
Well,
you seen like those? That's
I
just a collection of
I
stories,
remember
scary
you
stories.
showed me one of the more darker.
Images.
I think it was Goosebumps. I could be wrong.
Goosebumps?
I think it was a Goosebumps story. It was the one where the babysitter's babysitting the kids, and they have to do this ritual, is what the little girl calls it, before they go upstairs for protection. And it's the one where I think it's Goosebumps.
Trying to remember.
But anyway, it was really like offsetting and creepy and really, really weird. And I was like, that, and the way it
that
ended.
also could have
And the
been
way it
out of
ended,
one of
you're
the
like,
many
oh, you know what
anthology
happened,
books
but there's no
that-
like graphic detail or anything.
So I
Right.
would beg to differ about the Fazbear Frights because those
Those are not
frickin'
for
messed
kids.
up.
So
are not
those
for
take it
kids.
to
Yeah.
a
Those are
whole-
not for kids.
No.
Yeah.
Those
But
are
they're-
not middle grade.
Think
they're-
of the children.
you buy them in the kids section at Barnes and
That's
Noble.
the problem.
That's messed
That's
up.
a problem. Yeah.
and they're
I don't
published
buy
by
that.
Scholastic.
Oh, Scholastic.
So
You
it's
messed up.
I feel like it's like, oh, they took the concept of Goosebumps and then they're like, we're gonna show every bloody detail
Yeah,
and every
it's like-
It's
disgusting
pretty
and
bad
also the
piece.
theme is like the whole theme
There's
of Five
some-
Nights at Freddy's kids should not be reading about anyway.
Well,
It's
the
weird.
original trilogy, sure, but the books change it. It's a different canon.
Oh,
It's a totally different world.
But yeah, okay, but it's
So-
like the concept. Of
They,
it's just so
they
weird.
still explore heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's just. Ugh.
Anyway, Chelsea, so you picked
Anyway.
an animated movie.
What's your
My
animated
animated
film?
movie is Monster House, which I guess
Oh,
right
wow.
now
Yay.
is gaining a lot of nostalgia traction
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
of this year,
Because the Gen
2024.
Zs are like, oh,
We were
remember
not
this?
children when it came out, though.
It came out in 2006. We were
Six.
15
So
years
we were
old.
teenagers.
We were
you
50.
were a kid.
Yeah, I did not like it.
How
but we
old were
were-
you in 2006?
I was 9 years old,
Oh, okay.
so it was like right up
Me and
my
Allie were
alley.
15.
It was targeted toward me, but I was
Me
like,
and Adelaide were the perfect
I don't
age for this
know.
movie, dude.
yeah, you guys were the perfect age. Yeah, but man, what do you got to say about
Yeah.
Monster House? I haven't seen this since I was little.
Okay,
Really?
so
Yeah, I
You
mean,
haven't
never
revisited it?
Nah, I never liked
We
it.
watch it every year.
is it because you had a negative impact on you as a kid? Just the vibes of it all?
The vibes
And
and
the disconcertion
I
from our
think
mother?
now I would think it'd be cool to watch, but
It's-
as a kid, I'm
oh,
like, this
it's
is
so
so messed up
amazing.
and scary. I don't like it.
Jake,
but-
you would love all the cinematography in it.
I know. I need to revisit it now because like, keep telling me on it. Keep telling me to revisit. What more you got to say about it?
Okay, what's his name? Robert Zemeckis got this
Oh,
one.
that's
This was
right.
this was his company. It's a motion capture movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's
Did
one
you
of
know
those
that?
CGI
This was before.
ones.
I think this was before Polar Express.
Is it Imaji?
No, Polar Express was 04.
Was it 04?
Yeah.
Okay, then it might have been.
So
right
this was
after
the
that.
follow-up.
No, it was
He did.
after Polar Express.
Was it? Okay.
What's the company
It's
called?
not. It's not Imagine that did
Directed
this
by
one.
Gil Keenan.
Gil Keenan.
And
He did
Dan
the-
Harmon wrote it?
No, he was one of the writers.
He was one of the writers on
But
this?
but really, kind of like with Michael Bay producing a bunch of movies, you're like, oh, it's definitely a Michael Bay movie, but it's not directed by him.
Oh, Gil
Same
Keenan
thing. This
with
is a
Robert
Robert
Zemeckis,
Zemeckis
yeah.
movie,
Gil
even though it wasn't
Keenan-
directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Gil Keenan was supposed to originally direct the Five Nights at Freddy's movie,
He
but that
directed
didn't
the
work
reboot
out.
of Poltergeist in 2015, and he directed the recent Ghostbusters.
Yeah, he's a
movie.
horror
I've seen
guy.
those
That's
I
cool.
follow him on
Huh.
Instagram.
He's a cool guy.
Anyway,
Anyway.
it's about a group of kids, two kids actually. It's about two best friends, and they live across from the cranky old man across the street. And everybody says, "Uh-oh, that house is haunted. Stay away from old Mr. Nevercracker. He's gonna, he's a horrible man." Okay, these children, a lot of kids' toys get lost in his lawn, and he comes out Okay, he doesn't have like a weapon or anything, but he might as well. Like
Shaking his
he
fist.
is running at and the camera gets right
And
up in
that's
his
what I was
face.
scared of as a kid.
The camera gets like right up in his face and stuff from down below. Like you're the kid. You're like, oh my god,
I don't want to be down here.
Yeah, and he's screaming at these kids, and he breaks their toys when they come into his yard.
Yeah,
He's like,
he-
"You stay away!" And you're like, "Holy crap!"
He destroys
and
their
stuff. And
stuff.
so this kid lives across from him. It's Halloween night. Halloween night's coming up, and his best friend loses his toy in the yard, and he wants to go get it. They find Mr. Nevercracker has a heart attack at some point.
Dude, Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg's Amblin and whatever is Robert
Yeah.
Zemeckis.
Oh yeah, this feels like a
Hell
I
of
Steven
think
Spielberg
that's
Spielberg
the
movie.
only reason Mom went was because of the Steven Spielberg angle.
Did she take you guys to go see this?
Yeah, she went with us.
Lexi.
I went to go
me.
in the theaters.
Yeah, you were in the theater, I thought. with
No,
us.
No,
Mom
I did
didn't let
not
them
go see
it.
this.
I thought
No.
he saw it in the
No,
movie.
no,
Oh, I thought he
way,
was
no.
there.
No, it was
No.
just we went with friends. We went with Casey and Kirsten.
Yeah, Casey Kirsten probably went.
See,
Yeah.
we've already talked about my brain.
Yeah, what's
So-
wrong with it?
Anyway,
My brain, what's wrong with it?
Continue.
Anyway, now the old man's out of the way. The kids are like, "Oh, well, we can go get our toys in the house."
Oh,
well, the
Steve
house,
Buscemi plays the guy. That's awesome.
Starscream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Steve Buscemi plays the
Imagine
guy.
Starscream running
Yes,
out there.
the Starscream and the guy from Fargo, Adelaide. Yes, Steve Buscemi.
do like AI voice of Starscream like yelling at kids.
Like, yeah, but Starscream.
I want Starscream to replace
This
all
audio.
of Steve Buscemi's characters. So, like, the dude from The Big Lebowski who gets killed, I just want the Starscream to be like, ow! It's just like, how could, bro, how could you kill him, man? And it's like the guy from Fargo, Starscream's going into the wood chipper, and it's like, ah! Like, all the time.
Oh,
Steve
he's fine.
Buscemi-
He's a robot.
Yeah, oh, he's a robot. You know?
Starscream is randomly in Monsters Incorporated.
Get off my lawn!
Anyway, the kids find out that the house is actually haunted,
Yes.
and it's a lie. And by haunted, I mean it literally
Oh, man.
can physically grab people. Okay, it's not like, oh, the house is haunted, I'm seeing weird things. It grows teeth and it grows arms.
It's a monster.
It's a monster
Yeah.
house in every literal way, and it is one of the best horror kids movies ever.
It's some good eating right there too, because like when
Yeah.
you see it, I can't describe it. It's just cool.
It's cool, yeah.
Like,
it's a
it's
great
just-
the
design.
rule of cool
The design.
is the peak of this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
it is like I'm gonna like let's watch it again, but it's not just because it's cool. Like you go in because it's cool, but it's so funny. Like there's so many funny
The kids in it.
Kevin James plays the officer in this.
Kevin James,
Yeah,
yeah.
Kevin James. And John Hader, I think he's the dude in the pizza place.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, what he said, he's like, I paid $52 for that ball. He starts crying and he's like, we're not going to get your ball. And he's like, I mowed 2 lawns and asked my mom for $1.50 times. I never worked so hard in my life.
I forgot. that. Oh,
I will be
man.
seeing you later. Like, it's something really
Oh, man.
Yeah, so like I remember like after seeing that movie, I was like, man, it's so cringe, but that's because like
What?
we would act like that, so I'm like, oh, never mind. So as an
I didn't
adult,
think that at all. I was
That's
so like seeing it in theaters, like with
So,
the sounds, like
yes.
oh my god,
If they ever do a re-release, which I think
they did.
they did recently, like this year, as of this podcast.
Really?
Yeah,
It
like
was like a one night thing.
I would have
that's cool.
loved to see it
Yeah.
again in theaters or like 3D.
Mm.
Or
Oh,
like
yeah,
3D,
3D,
or
yeah.
I would
yeah,
pay $3 for that.
just the first time the house reveals itself.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna
I feel
tear
like
you kids apart.
every beat of this movie is so professional and on like everybody knows exactly what they're doing. They know how to make an amazing movie. And I feel like at the time it didn't make a lot of money. I don't think
yeah.
when we went to the theater, we went to see it 2 times, 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
I
we
remember
went to see
at
like
least
3
seeing it
times.
twice.
Yeah, at least twice, but
I-
I think we did go 3 times.
I remember Mom went with us the
first
first time, and she enjoyed it too because she said, "Man, those kids were real kids."
Yeah, it's Steven
Mm.
Spielberg.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like, "Those kids really knew how to act like
So
kids."
the budget was 75 million and it made 141. So maybe about a case budget, maybe some of the marketing.
Oh,
I
it
just
really
remember
is
the
a
theater as being so
Transformers
empty.
story.
Like
Oh my god.
Sad.
Yeah, it made more money than Transformers. you
I
know?
know.
Adelaide, that's
Adelaide's-
a mega franchise.
I know.
It'll be fine. It'll
It's
be
not,
fine. We
but
need
what
more
a-
monster houses.
Anyway.
Anyway, that's my second movie pick.
Okay, I like I do need to revisit this. I remember not liking it as a kid because of what you find out of the story behind the house and everything. And
It's super
It's just
dark.
super
but
dark.
It's,
Sad,
it's more
and
sad.
it's sad. I think that's why I didn't like it, because it was
Yeah,
sad when I
very
was a kid. I'm
sad.
like, oh, this is
Like a little
sad.
too much. It was a little too
Intense. It's pretty intense. Like the
yeah,
bad
and then
stuff.
it's a kid's film, so like some people that died actually didn't die.
Yeah,
so that's
there's a
kinda neat,
yeah.
you
It's
know?
like wait, they're alive.
Yeah,
and I
wait,
remember
what?
thinking when we went to go see this, like, whoa, they actually did that. Oh,
Yeah,
they
they
actually
ate
had the
that
guts
guy.
to do that. And then
Yeah.
like, oh, what they lived.
I'm
What?
sure
I can't wait-
Hollywood I'm sure Hollywood is like whatever producer had a say in that. Like I know
Well,
Gil
yeah.
Keenan would have been
I'm
like, we're
sure-
killing these people.
yeah, we're killing these people.
And I'm sure the studio came in and was like, nope, they gotta stay
I
alive.
mean, what, I'm
something
sure
gotta be-
whatever. I'm sure Steven Spielberg and Rob Schneider are like, look, this is what they like. This is what producers like. Here's that middle ground that you can find. And
Right.
like
Oh,
they
let's
had
do
their
it- let's put it in the
fingerprints
credits.
all over this.
Yeah,
movie.
in the credits,
Right.
You know. But I'm really intrigued to go revisit this now.
Yeah, I went, and we gotta have like the surround sound and everything.
Yeah.
Like, wah.
Hmm.
It's time for an in-your-face disgrace. Oh, my nose is bleeding in my brain.
All right.
So that's what this movie's known for.
so
Sure.
funny.
Also, the memes coming out of this, like I see every once in a while, like
There's memes.
yeah, like the officer when they go up to the officer, and like he's like, "What are you guys doing here?" And he's like, "Nah," and then, like they take him doing that, and then you put like any kind of sound effect in there, like the wah or the like any of the
What?
weird stuff.
That's like YTP.
It's
Yeah,
because
YTP
Gen Z's in the mainstream with meme creation now. That's why they're doing it. So,
That's
anyway.
a good.
Brain rot.
That's a positive thing about TikTok now is that you have that generation discovering
yeah.
this stuff,
Yeah.
and everyone's
like
like,
me and David
"What?"
joke about this. I'm like, David, the Zoomers have discovered
The
like,
Zoomers.
Silverhawks or something from the Warner Brothers animation.
Well, now they've discovered Monster House,
Now they discovered
which is a good
Monster
thing.
House.
So
Yeah, it's a good thing. So, speaking of good things or not so good things, depending on how you look at it, my second film is Overlord from 2018, directed by Julius Avery, who he did the Pope's Exorcist that came out last year, which I totally forgot
Oh.
about. He also did that Samaritan film with Stallone on Amazon. And let me tell you, Overlord, one simple phrase: Nazi zombies. That's all you got to say to pitch this movie. It's about some American soldiers and some allies launching out of a plane in a really cool opening. And
What
the
time does it take place in?
World War
World War
II.
Oh,
Nazi zombies.
okay.
So it's a World War II.
So the Nazis are using zombies to
Yes.
try and win the war.
Yeah.
I thought. See, I never seen it, but
Oh, you never
I
seen it.
got the
Okay.
impression that it was like present day, and
No,
they
no, no,
found
no, no,
out
no.
that Nazis had zombies holed up in like
that
a
was actually one of the theories when the first trailer came out, was that they were actually going to be in the present time in the end or something.
yeah.
Because this was actually
Oh.
originally, it was produced by J.J. Abrams, by the way, and it was originally going to be in his Cloverfield universe.
Oh, what?
So you were going to have, when they announced,
Huh?
after the first Cloverfield came out and they announced like Cloverfield Paradox, which eventually came to Netflix and nobody liked. And then you had 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is also a great
Which
one. I totally forgot
everybody
about- I should have
liked.
put that one on this list. But anyway, this was supposed to be a Cloverfield universe, and it was like, what?
Why didn't
Why?
we get that in another timeline?
In another timeline we did. But It's Nazi zombies. It's gory. It's cool. You care about the characters.
Isn't there a
care
weird
about the
gun or
soldiers.
something in this movie?
I don't know,
Because
but
I remember when this was out.
There are some moments where
at the theater.
there are some moments that are straight up like Call of Duty zombies though in this movie
Yeah.
because of Nazi zombies, and it's like gory. It's cool.
They got zombies wearing gas masks.
Yeah, sure. And they got like, and it's just a really, I think, well-made film that's gory and icky, but it's like, it's very, pardon this, it's very tasteful, I would say.
Hey, gore fest can be tasteful. It's possible.
It's also incredibly entertaining, and it's like, you're rooting for these guys because they're behind enemy lines in Germany, and then they encounter this facility and they're testing on humans, and then you find it's Nazi zombies, and then you get all the craziness and stuff. Also, Wyatt Russell's in this, he's Kurt Russell's son, and he was also he was the Walmart Captain America in the latest Falcon Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's like one of those heroes in this film.
Wow,
And it's like, this film
like.
doesn't get like insanely gross until like a transformation in the attic, and it's like really messed up. It's like, oh,
see,
God.
that makes me excited because
Is it as bad as the Wolfman transformation from the original Wolfman movie?
I have never seen the original.
You mean-
I don't know.
wait.
Whichever one was the color one, and they had like practical effects, and they had like bones.
I
and
don't
stuff.
know. But this guy,
It's a really
like,
famous scene.
it's really
Yeah.
creepy. It reminds me of
Because I have a limit, but I have a.
I have a. Limit.
I do. I have a.
I mean, I do too. I
a
have
limit
rules.
to like gore and stuff, but when it comes
I
to
got my
transformation
standards.
scenes, I'm kind of like, ooh, I do
well,
like me
he's
a good
transforming-
transformation.
There's a character who
scene.
transforms into a zombie,
I know,
and it's like it's like weird because it's like an
You don't gotta
infection.
describe it.
There's injections. There's all this kind of creepy stuff, and then they get into the
Black
facility.
science.
Yeah, black science, exactly. And it's really fun. It's such a. I don't know how much money it made.
see, I've had interest in it since
I
I
remember
first heard
I
about
went
it.
to the theaters and I went to go see this, and I was like, "Oh man, this is great!" And I've heard really good things about it from a lot of people online. And then there was like, it was at Cannes Film Festival, and it got a standing
Of course,
ovation
it was.
after the opening scene. And it's like, okay,
What?
guys, hold up.
Wow.
That's not
Okay.
that special. You guys are all.
They
Hold
really
your
jumped the
horses,
gun.
Steve.
Yeah, they really jumped. They're like, okay, hold up.
That happens
Hold
all
on.
the time at Cannes, though. I
Yeah,
feel like
they're
it's
like,
nothing
"Oh,
super
It's
special.
so beautiful. They got 13-minute standing ovation because that's what
Right,
makes a
there's
great
like
film,
a 20-minute
right?
standing ovation
Joker
for
2 got
every
a
movie,
5-minute
and it's
standing
like,
ovation.
okay.
Well, Transformers
You
1
know?
got a 10-minute standing
Yeah,
ovation,
exactly.
so-
And that's why Joker 2 made less money than that. So there you go.
They
Right,
actually
that's the
kind of
reason
evened
Joker
out.
2 made
Did
less
Joker
money.
2 make more money?
Yeah.
Really?
And it was only out for 2 weeks before they had that result, and Transformers 1 was out for 4 weeks when they had that.
Well, regardless, I think you'll eventually get another
It's
one.
giving video game vibes.
It's
looking
really
at the
good.
cover.
Yeah.
It's like Call of Duty Zombies.
Well,
kind
I
of.
think I remember when the
kind of.
trailer came out, I thought it was a movie of a video game. I was like, oh, is this that one video game they're making a movie of? Some shooter?
Yeah,
I've
I've always
always
had
had
interest
zombies
in it.
or
I just never
something.
got around to it.
Yeah,
so.
it's I'd highly recommend it. In terms of streaming it, I believe it's only on. Believe you can only rent it right now. You can't really stream it anywhere.
But I could borrow your copy.
You can borrow my copy too, or you can buy it on Blu-ray. There you go. And that's my second film.
Can I just say the one I forgot?
I have it in my
Yeah, but you had one more, I thought. Oh, no, wait, it was this one.
It weird.
do you
we're,
wanna-
we're gonna share both of them.
Well, do you want to talk about this then? Or intro that, and I intro the other one?
yeah, but you're next. You see, it's in my shared
Uh-huh.
like at the
Okay,
end of
yeah,
it
well,
before,
we're-
but it's before my honorable mentions.
Oh.
Oh, you have already mentioned.
So
Alright.
we both talk about this and then immediately start talking. We can talk about the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys both have one choice for your third one.
We
We're
both have
actually
three.
sharing
It's like you're
two, but
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
You're twins.
It doesn't
Aw.
matter.
Aw,
You're sharing something.
Dude.
Aw.
we share everything. Except
I mean,
underwear.
we
Don't
share-
leave
we
any
don't share
silence at the end of that
clothes.
sentence, please. You're like, we did everything, and then you just nod your
Dot,
head,
dot,
and
dot.
I'm like, don't leave any silence
we're-
after that sentence. please.
We were high fiving.
Do not leave it. Do not leave it.
The silence was just high-fiving in our brains.
What? Okay. Innocent minds over here.
I mean,
ladies
we
and
don't share each other's clothes anymore unless we say like, "Oh man, do you have an orange shirt? I don't got an orange shirt."
We do share each other's clothes still, though.
We don't. None of us have an orange
I
shirt.
mean, that's a super.
Oh man.
Okay, well, the next movie that
brought up an example that was like, oh yeah, I actually don't have an orange shirt.
That's
you know?
like, dude, that's how girls. We should ask each
I'm
other's
a man.
clothing.
I don't know. That
Men would
kind of
never
thing.
share each other's clothing.
Probably not unless it's the same size. So
That's true.
anyway,
What does that mean
I
about
don't
you?
know. If it's same size, like you gotta. Yeah, I guess guys do the same thing. Yeah.
Don't give any sizes. Don't give any people anything to work with, please.
Anyway,
Okay, so what's your guys' third pick?
it's our first shared movie.
Oh, first shared movie. Okay.
We're gonna go with Mama.
And this is
Ooh.
my number one favorite horror movie, like actual horror movie of all time.
Directed by Andy Muschietti, produced by Barbara Muschietti, his sister, and produced by Guillermo del Toro. I think this was like their first big,
yeah,
the
pushed by him.
Muschietti's first big one, because they went on to do the It duology after this.
Oh, I didn't know
Mm.
that.
Yeah,
No, I didn't know that.
I told you.
It's great.
So yeah, of course, Guillermo del Toro's name, before we even knew who the Muschiettis were, I feel like before anybody knew who their names were, Guillermo del Toro's name on
It's
it.
just like, okay, Monster House. Everybody's, oh yeah, the Robert Zemeckis, Steven Spielberg movie.
Right.
It wasn't directed by them.
Right.
It's like, Devil, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. It wasn't directed by
It wasn't
M. Night
directed, no,
Shyamalan.
no.
Mama?
Ninja Turtles, the Michael Bay version, right? It wasn't directed by Michael Bay.
No.
And then Mama, you're like, oh, the Guillermo del Toro one. It wasn't
directed
directed
by
by Guillermo del Toro.
But
it might as well have been.
their fingerprints are all
All over,
Over
it,
it.
man. It's beautiful.
they might
Yeah.
as well have directed it.
Who was
Um,
directed by it? Who directed it, by the way?
Andy Muschietti
She just
And his sister.
produced it
Oh, his sister produced. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
and co-wrote it.
Jake trying to be equal over here.
No, I was just like his sister, you know, because I
You
remember.
left his sister out.
It's based on a short film that the Muschiettis did, and the short film I feel like is just as chilling, and it's recreated in the movie at one point. There's a
Yeah.
scene in the movie where they recreate it, which I think the short film was more effective.
I think
than the
so
movie.
too. But it's different. It's a short film.
But there's certain
it's
things-
paced differently.
If you don't
Yeah.
know what it's about these two little girls who go missing because something happened with their dad. To avoid spoilers,
Yeah.
they go missing, and their uncle has been looking for them
For years.
for years.
Yeah.
When they're
I can't remember how many years.
found-
It's like 10 years or something.
no, it's not that many because
Really?
the one girl's not that old.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So it's a couple years later. They're
It's like
found to
5
be
years or something.
alive out in the middle,
In the
a
middle of the
cabin in the middle of the
woods.
woods,
And they're like wild.
and they're feral. Yeah,
they're like feral.
and
yeah.
so you're like, how did they survive? And they're like, they find these cherries that they ate, and like, I guess they survived on cherries. but
cherries
how did they
alone.
know
Yeah,
that?
that was like the most unbelievable
but-
thing. of the
but
whole
they're
thing.
like
no,
malnourished
but
and
that's the
stuff.
thing
oh,
that makes it. That's the thing.
You're like, is
They
there
had-
something
thing.
taking care of
that's
them?
the thing.
They had help.
Yeah.
Oh,
Someone was
yeah.
taking care of them, but that person is not
Mm.
alive anymore.
I wonder who it could have been.
They call the entity
Title of
Mama,
the movie.
and through the whole movie, it's like, is she real? Is she a figment of their imagination?
Or maybe is this an actual crazy woman that the girls are being taken care of and she's sneaking into the house or something?
Yeah.
So you don't really know. Well, you know, kind of like 1/3 of the way through the movie, you find out there is a ghost involved.
Right. It's a supernatural story. I guess you could figure out. Judge the trailers. I guess could kind of give that away too. But
yeah.
really good
But
movie.
yeah, it's about the uncle and his girlfriend had decided to raise these girls, and then that's when the ghost steps in, and they're like, something weird is going on with these girls, you know.
Something's up.
And then it's just it's very sad. It's a sad, scary.
It's a
movie.
really sad.
But I feel
one,
like
and I love it for that.
This is one of the first movies. I feel like we went to go see this, and for the first time in a long time, because we were in college, right, when this came out.
Yeah.
For the first time in a long
This
time,
was 2013.
I went to go see a movie, and I couldn't sleep that night because
Yeah,
I was
so
so scared.
The monster in this movie, Mama, the sound she makes and the way she looks terrified me. It still scares me a lot. Like
Yeah,
if I
it's
think about
still
it too much and I'm in a dark
creepy.
room, I'm gonna start getting scared.
right.
Like that's how
I think-
visually horrifying.
I think
she
also
is.
the one thing that kept me awake the night after I saw this movie, if I think about it too hard, I get scared and I can't
Yeah.
go to sleep.
if you dwell on it too much,
Yeah,
right?
like that's how well this movie stands up, even though it was made many years ago. It's like they know how to do horror and they know how to scare you. Without it, it's PG-13.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not rated
so
R.
My one rule is like, I don't watch R-rated movies because I don't want to be hurt in some way. But I don't want to see something that I'm like, I wish I never saw that.
Right.
And that ruined my whole experience, right? That's my view on like extreme content, which is why my bread and butter is kids media. Can you scare me really good without being disgusting and being traumatizing in any way? Can you give me something I can recommend to my family and the kids? Because I want to enjoy it with them.
Yeah.
I don't like to enjoy stuff by myself, and I don't like that. So it was PG-13. I was like, oh, I want to go see this. And then when I saw like a glimpse of the monster in the trailer, I was like, oh, this looks cool.
Mhm.
And we knew, Guillermo del Toro's name is all over it and stuff. It was so much better than I ever could have wanted.
I
Like,
wish everybody could have seen it, like, without knowing anything about the movie, going to the movie theater for the first time, experiencing the movie for the first time in a dark theater, not knowing what's going to happen.
So there's one sequence in this movie that I just have to totally gush about every single time to try and convince people. I say, if you want horror, if you want to be terrified, like, there's a scene in this movie where a guy is trying to take a picture of the monster
oh my God.
in the dark.
Yeah.
And he's flashing the camera, and it's going like flashing, it's whining, it's going wee, like what's that called?
It's loading.
It's loading up. Like, he flashes, it's loading up, flashes, loading up, and he gets a glimpse, and Mama's noise that she makes sounds like a dying animal. Like, she can't speak, and she's going like,
Messed up.
and she's like screaming louder and
But
louder.
she can't, like, project all the way.
Yeah,
like-
she can only scream and stuff like that. And then when you see her like totally like bent and crooked body, she's like the crooked man but a woman.
Yeah.
And her hair
She's a crooked
and her
man.
mouth, like, when you see that flashing at you, getting closer and closer and louder, and you're trapped in a movie theater and it's dark, I remember kind of
goes on
lifting
for,
out of
like-
my seat
Yeah.
at that. I remember being like, oh my God, like, I didn't want to hear it because it was so terrifying.
Yeah.
But there was no gore, there was no blood, there was no cursing, there's none of that stuff that needed to be put in there just to make it rated R.
Well, and I think
You
the
can
Moosh-
still terrify people really well. And if you can do that, that is the most amazing thing to me. I love that kind of horror. That's
and
my
I
favorite
feel
kind
like
of horror.
The Muschietis, and you see it with the It duology too. It's like they take what they know everyone is afraid of. So, like, for Mama's incident, it was the dark. That was a
Yeah.
utilization of turning
I
the
wanna be
dark
here.
into something to be scared of, because the reason you're scared to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night with all the lights out is because you're like, I know it's my house. I know I'm the only one who lives here, but there could be a monster out there.
What's
with
David F.
Mama?
Sandberg's directorial debut?
Huh?
Again?
What?
What's David F. Sandberg's famous short that he did? That's exactly what you're
Lights
describing.
Out?
Lights Out. That's what I'm thinking.
That was pretty
Oh,
terrifying.
that's
too.
exactly what I would.
Same situation.
thing?
It's utilizing the dark
Gotcha.
as the fear itself, because you're like, when people say I'm afraid of the dark, this is what they mean, because
I
there's
feel like-
something in there.
I feel like that's the art. That's the passion for horror for me. I like scary stuff, but can you do it in a tasteful way that I want to see more? I don't want to be like grossed out and be like, I can't look at this, right? Like gore and stuff. Like, that's why I don't
like
do gore.
the shock and awe.
Yeah,
'cause that's
right.
what
It's just
gore really
shock
is for.
value mainly, or maybe there's like gore heads who are like, oh, the more blood, the better, and stuff. And I'm like, that's really is not everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me personally, whose bread and butter is children's media, I was like, that's the art of it.
Yeah.
That is the art. Like,
I don't really consider
scare me really good, but can you do it in a way just from an image of something terrifying?
or the sound. I feel like
Or
the
the
Grudge,
sounds,
like
yeah.
the Ju-on movies, falls under that same thing,
Oh
at
my
least with
gosh,
sound
the
design.
sounds,
Because
yeah.
it's the sound of the monster itself where you're like, oh God, I don't want to hear this anymore. And
Yeah.
then you'll be thinking about that sound
and you're imagining
as you go to the
what
bathroom in the middle of the
monster
night.
is, and you're like, what is going on?
Ooh, yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
It's so good.
This movie messed you guys up, huh?
Okay, so
No, but we
story
watch
time,
it every year.
So story time when we went to go see this in the theater. So it was us and like maybe like 5 or 6 other people. I feel
Yeah,
like
it wasn't
at least
packed.
the day we went. And there was these 2 guys in the 2 rows ahead of us, and they were really wide guys. Like, they had big shoulders and they were like just wide, and they were both bald. They were both bald too. They were kind of like big
Biker
like, dudes.
guys
They
or
were big biker
big
guys. Yeah, I would
guys?
explain,
Maybe they
like,
were a pair of twins also going to see them.
maybe. I don't know. They didn't look the same. Anyway, so they kept like reacting throughout the movie. You kind of like look down at them once in a while when they go like, oh, that scared me. Oh, they start laughing and stuff.
You're like grabbing over.
They're just there to have a good time. Oh, let's go see this creepy movie. Okay, and they're like, like getting scared. And then in the end, when it gets really sad, it does something in a set. It's really sad without being super traumatizing.
Yeah.
It's in a very like loving way.
In a
and
loving
it's
way,
like,
yeah.
You're going like no, like
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
sad. And I can see like the silhouettes of these two guys going like like
They're like wiping their face.
it's like their whole arms like that.
like the cowardly lion. Like,
And I remember, like, I'm crying. I'm trying not to cry. I'm looking down at them, and I felt so much better when I saw that they were crying. I was like,
And
"Oh,
that's
these
what
guys are great."
that's what film is supposed to do. It's supposed to unite us all together.
Right.
yeah, sure.
Oh,
It's supposed to
Oh,
make
I
us
love that,
relate to us on emotional levels
Yeah,
that we
I-
can all
I
talk
feel like
about.
Mama is, for me, it is the best horror movie.
It's pretty
of
dang good.
ever.
I
Like,
think that their It movies
I've never
are
seen
the
a movie
same.
like it since. It's
Well, I
not
feel-
boring. It's not cliche. It's not, oh, let's try to put out more money by doing another, oh, this monster makes you smile. Oh, you're going to die in an hour or whatever. I don't know.
I actually heard the second one's really
That's what I've been hearing
really
too.
good. So
Second one. There's a second
Smile.
one.
Smile too.
Oh, Smile
Yeah.
too. Oh, okay, gotcha.
It makes you smile.
I remember we watched
It's like,
this
what?
for the first time this year, I think. And
What, Smile?
no, Mama.
Oh, Mama.
I
It
remember
was last year.
Yeah, I went over to your guys' house and we watched it for the very first time. At least I did. I watched it for the first time, and I was like, and I always heard you guys talk about it. You're like, oh man,
Raving about
really
it.
high
so amazing.
expectations.
I'm like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, I like.
Hyping
And
it
then I was
up.
like, Andy Muschietti did this. Oh man, he's directing that Flash movie. I heard that's going to be great, and yeah, it wasn't that great, but it was fine. But anyway, I was like, oh, he did the It movies. Oh, he started with this. Guillermo del Toro produced it. Oh right, and we watch it, and I was like, man, this is a beautiful film. It's really genuinely a really beautiful film, and with a really cool message, and just it makes you, you guys said it right. It's made in a very loving way.
Yeah.
And taken cared for, because, and I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but like there's an aspect of the film of like you want to protect the innocent, and they're being protected
Right.
by what we would consider evil.
It's
monster,
how we
right? The
should
monster, yeah.
treat children.
Yes.
Yeah, versus a possessive
Mhm.
way. Because, like,
Yeah.
there's Mama who has been taking care of these two children while they've been lost in the woods, or abandoned in the woods, I should say. But she's not human. These girls are seriously malnourished. They're not acting like humans. They're acting like animals when they're
Yeah.
found.
Mm.
And Mama is not human. So she doesn't know any better, I guess you could say. I don't know. She's might as well be an animal
Well,
herself.
also I think she's supposed to represent just like the toxic side of love.
Well, like I said, like possessive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? She's
yeah.
using them as a crutch for something that happened to her.
Yeah, she's
Which is
using
why she is
them
a ghost, right? She
because
hasn't left yet in this
right,
world.
but she wasn't. I mean, she did something not good in
right,
the past.
she wasn't a good someone good who something bad was done to.
But the argument could also be that she did it because she also had some twisted form of love.
right
before-
So there's that,
Yeah.
and then there's the uncle's girlfriend, Jessica Chastain, who is trying to learn. She's a punk rocker, and she doesn't believe in this concept of
yeah,
family.
I totally forgot about that.
Right. She doesn't
Yeah.
believe in this concept of family, but she drops her career, and her rocker friends are like, just split up with him, dude. Like, do what you want to do. You're
Girl. What's
you're
up, girl?
you're
Yeah.
your own woman.
You're in a rock
And
band.
she's
like,
I
but-
was in a rock band.
I was in a rock band, yeah.
Also, Jessica
But that's like the
Chastain,
message in it.
and that's the
is-
message is family.
it-
pretty
right,
much.
it's like-
yeah,
It's like
because we
children
see her.
don't children
Yeah.
don't ruin your lives, and children are not
Yes,
accidents.
Yes. And
Right?
that's the whole, I think, message of the film, and that's what established with her character in the beginning, and then by the end you're like, oh wow, look how far she's come. You know?
Exactly.
Which
really
could
cool.
you could say is like a predictable character arc, but
Yeah,
it's
but it's
satisfying to see.
done
I feel like it was deserved, though.
tastefully.
Yeah.
It was
Keep using
deserved.
tastefully. That's in this sense it works.
Yeah,
It's
and the
done
acting
very
was good
tastefully.
enough that
Oh, it's
to
good.
that.
Yeah,
Even
and
if
the
it is
kid
a
actor's
cliche.
great. I was surprised. The kid actor's good.
Yeah, the kid actors are
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
the
really
little
good.
girls.
So
All right, Jake.
Little, what
Yeah.
is it?
What's
Lily is the little one. I
Lily?
think it's Lily.
Yeah, Victoria's the
Yeah.
older one.
Oh yeah, Victoria is the oldest. Look, Daddy, I tell you.
There's a little like baby
Aw.
voice, like oh
They're
my
so
god,
cute,
these
yeah.
girls. Why would you want to hurt these children?
yeah. And then
Yeah,
Annie
they knew what they were
Muschietti
doing.
and his sis went on to do It. And I
Oh,
was like,
so
oh
good.
man, it's so
I would
good.
Oh yeah,
elevate those-
Jessica Chastain was also
Yeah,
in that.
she's
I would
good
elevate
as
those
that,
to
yeah.
the same level.
They're all really great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as Mama.
That one is rated R though.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
R-rated
it
version.
is rated R.
Yeah.
Oh, Mama's not rated R?
PG-13.
PG-13?
That's why I went to go see it in theaters. I
Gotcha.
just talked all about that.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. No worries.
Jake
All right.
was disassociating.
Okay,
Jake was
Um,
typing on the computer.
So the reason, okay, before I get to my last one,
Mhm.
the reason why Him came up on your phone is because Him is the film of the next film Jordan Peele is producing. And it's about a football player who joins an isolated compound to train under a dynasty team's aging quarterback or something like that. That's the synopsis. It's got Marlon Wayland. It's got a couple other folks in it, Julia Fox.
Oh.
Seems interesting. September next year. What else was I gonna say?
Oh, I thought that was his next movie.
No, I think that's it. Technically, like he's producing Monkey Man, he did that, and now he's gonna produce Him. So he's one of many producers in the film now.
Oh
And
yeah,
he was
he's
like he was the
making bank.
I don't know
Yeah.
if he was the showrunner, but he was the face of the new Twilight Zone series that came out.
Yeah, he was,
and he
the
kind of
face,
wore
yeah.
that as a badge of honor, and I think he
Yeah.
deserved it. Like
I-
because
yeah.
I'll mention Twilight Zone later, but yeah, for
Yeah.
someone like Jordan Peele who respects
and
media.
loves Twilight Zone too.
he
and
respects the
media and horror.
history of
Yeah.
horror and movies in general.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
feel like he was the one who.
I think
should've been it.
he if you could pick anybody around the time that was being made, it would have been Jordan Peele.
Right. I don't think there's anyone else right now, at least anyone who is being like
In horror?
who is giving a chance to show what they can do.
Oh.
right?
okay.
Because Peele has had like years and years of being in the television industry.
He's been in the industry a long
Right,
time.
right.
So, all right, my last
Third.
film
Yeah.
is a film you cannot buy physically on physical media. Just that's the way it is. It is streamed. You can find it on Max. And I went to the theaters to go see this. It had a trailer that was very vague, and I had no idea what to
Yeah,
expect.
they did a great job.
And
It's
I
really-
went to go see it, and I was like, kind of like when you guys with Mama, you guys couldn't sleep at night. This movie made me not sleep at night.
Really?
This
What is
movie
it?
is named Barbarian.
Mhm.
And this was released in 2022,
My brain.
written and
I don't remember
directed
what
by
this is.
Zach Krager. And it had Bill Skarsgård in it, who was Pennywise. He's in it for a little bit.
Okay.
You also have Justin Long, who's in it, and Georgina Campbell, who's the main protagonist.
Is
and
this
this-
the Airbnb one?
Yes.
It's the Airbnb one.
Oh, okay.
And basically, I'm not going to spoil it. Basically, all you need to know is an Airbnb, 2 people rented out the same night by accident, apparently, and then something's in the basement, and that's all you need to know.
Something's in the book.
Go and look at the
Bah.
first trailer for this.
I think I totally forgot. Again, like, yeah, I saw like one trailer
you can
for
get
it,
into
and I
the
was
spoiler
like, man,
section
whatever. This
after.
looks
yeah,
boring.
yeah.
Because they're trying not to reveal too much in it, right? They're trying to make
Yeah.
it look generic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
as someone who, I wish I'd gone to the theaters to see it,
Oh, you should have.
but
Man.
I'm very picky about what I put my money towards in the movie theater. But anyway,
yeah.
I'm glad you elevated it and hyped it up because I watched it on my phone or something late at night. I'm like, I don't work tomorrow. I'll just stay up super late.
no.
So I watched it. I started it at like 11 o'clock at night.
Holy crap.
And I was so glad I didn't know anything about that
Yeah.
movie. And I was creeped
You're
out.
like,
Yeah.
I probably should have watched it
It wasn't
tomorrow.
the scariest thing I've ever seen because I feel like there are more disturbing things, but it's pretty dang disturbing.
Yeah, it's my second film I'm picking that also happens to take place in Detroit, which is just so happens
Okay.
to
What was
be
the other
whenever
one?
you have Don't Breathe takes place in Detroit.
Really?
Because there's an old decrepit house
Something
they
about
break
Detroit,
into.
huh?
In this
It's the
one,
East
there's
Coast,
a-
dude. That's why, because it's a bunch of
Oh,
old.
it's the East Coast.
Detroit's
yeah.
not the East Coast. It's the north of the U.S. Excuse me. It's on the eastern side. It's like the
look it up.
Mid-East. It's the Middle East
I'm a look.
of the United States.
of the United States of America.
It's got a bunch of decrepit buildings.
Wait,
Maybe we can bring manufacturing back to the state, but that's a side topic.
Michigan.
Sorry, Michigan.
That's like
Yeah,
touching
Detroit,
Canada,
Michigan.
right?
Yeah,
Detroit,
it's the
Michigan.
hand, woman.
the hand.
The hand, the oven mitt of the states.
Google
Yeah.
tells me it's $432 for a flight from Reading.
I'm not going.
Sure it is.
I'm not going. There's bad stuff there.
Yeah, so
They got spooky houses over there.
what I will
Spooky
say
houses.
before we dive into spoilers, because I do want to talk a little bit about spoilers with this, is God, it's so it's unsettling because it's like, okay, there's a woman that goes to the house,
Okay.
and there's this man already there, and he booked
It's like
the
your
Airbnb.
worst nightmare if you got
worst
Airbnb.
worst Airbnb nightmare.
And then like people are already there.
and there's people already there. And she's like, oh God, well I'm gonna go find a hotel, and he's like, no, it's okay. Let me call the guy, and they
Please,
try to call the person,
stay.
it fails, and you're like, okay, is this guy a creep? What's happening? And then like he gives her the bedroom that's there, and he sleeps on the couch, and they
I
actually
would
have-
not do that.
I know, yeah, it's like, okay, girl, come on. And then like she finds he's gone, and she's like, where'd he go? And her door's open. There's the back door that's open that goes to the basement. So she goes down the basement. She looks around, couldn't find anything, and then she finds a door that's open. Something happens down there, and that's all I'll say. And then we cut to Justin Long, and then eventually, who's in Hollywood, and then you follow his story,
Mhm.
and then it
Oh,
connects
like
back
leading
to the,
up to the house.
and then it leads
does
back,
like a
and it
jump
leads back to the house.
Okay.
And
He owns it or something.
he owns the property. It's his, like
And he
his whole
needs
family
money.
home, and he needs money.
Yeah.
So this was like a scam
Well, he
set up
gets
by him.
the story in the
He didn't even know he owned it.
He didn't even know he owned.
Oh,
well, he
Whoever was in
does.
charge of who to handle that for him because he's like a celebrity or whatever.
Yeah, he gave it to like
I
a
put
property
Put it up
manager.
as an Airbnb.
I
Yeah,
see.
and he gives
Yeah.
it like to a property manager, and then that's the guy who does it for the Airbnb, and then he can't access the property.
And then he
person.
gets paid by the foot.
the what?
He gets paid by the square foot.
Oh, the square
So-
foot.
Huh?
Oh, that's right. So, he's
Wait, on what?
Like, so he wants to sell the house because he needs money.
yeah.
And
Well,
they,
okay.
his
Before
lawyer-
we dive into any of
it's
that,
funny. It's funny.
we can dive into spoilers. But I'd highly recommend, like, if you have Max, you can also rent this. But if you have Max, it's on. It says it's streaming on Hulu and Prime. I think it's only on Max.
I think it's worth paying to rent.
It's 100%
I
worth
think.
the rent.
Yeah.
Like, get on a Friday night, just
in the daytime.
in the daytime, maybe not a Friday night.
On a gauge for people who you said it was
If-
disturbing. So like,
okay, so
say like, oh, if you've seen this movie, you might be okay
if
watching
you've
this.
seen Don't Breathe and you like Don't Breathe, you'll like this. If
You'll be okay with
you'll
it.
be okay with it, I think.
On the disturbing meter.
The disturbing meter, it's way more. I don't know. It's more disturbing.
It's
way more
disturbing than Don't
Breathe.
Breathe.
Yes.
Because
So
Don't Breathe has only one element.
Yes.
That made me not want to see it.
this has multiple.
This movie
elements.
has multiple
Oh.
and
elements
it's
that just
yeah.
unfold.
So if you think if you know what happens in Don't Breathe and that unsettles you, this has multiple things like that.
Right. You
So
might not be okay with it.
You probably won't.
Is it essay?
So it's a psychological horror and
Is
thriller.
it?
It's really, really freaking creepy and good. I went to go see it in the theaters, and I had no idea what to expect. And that's how you should go see it. Just go
Yeah.
see it like that. So anyway, let's talk about spoilers.
Okay, spoiler section.
So Adelaide, you watched it,
I did.
and I watched it, and Chelsea, you haven't.
I'm asking all these questions. I have not seen it.
Okay,
so
you don't have to watch it because I know you're not going to watch.
I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah. Don't. Okay.
I don't think there's a way to get a PG-13 version of this.
No,
so-
no
No.
way. No.
Like if they put it on TV and they do like their thing where they edit.
They'd have to blur a lot
They have to blur a lot.
because
Yeah.
there's nudity. in
There's
it.
nudity.
Oh
in it too.
yeah.
So like when you find out when Bill Skarsgård gets clapped by the
Wait,
creature.
who is he?
Don't
Who is
say
he?
clapped, please.
Okay, when he gets bashed his head,
Axed.
when
So
he gets
wait,
axed.
who's Bill Skarsgård in
Bill
this? You said
Skarsgård
it was
is-
just
So,
one of
okay,
the other lady.
Bill Skarsgård is the guy. Oh, I didn't know someone
know
else
this
was
was
I
the
thought
maybe-
he said that was just one.
No,
No, Justin
Justin
Long owns the
Long
house, but he's
owns
in
the
the
house.
Oh,
There's
I
only
see.
3 or 4 actors in this, or 5 actors in this whole film.
Okay.
Like
There's a homeless
you have
guy, so
Georgina
6.
Campbell, you have the guy who owned the house. You
I
have
mean,
Justin
we
Long.
don't have to go through all
So
of them. I
anyway-
was just a little confused.
You get her going down to the basement, and she finds Bill. She hears him screaming, and she finds this tunnel that goes down from the basement. A secret door she opens.
full of
secret
cages
door?
that
a
could
secret
hold
door,
people.
and she finds like
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 an
a
Underground
dog.
she
Railroad?
goes. She descends down. Right. She
Wait,
finds.
like what? What is that?
So it's
You
like
said it has something. I couldn't hear
with
you.
cages that are big enough
Oh,
to hold people,
cages.
like a
Yeah.
big dog.
So she goes down the basement. She finds a
Ugh.
hidden door. She opens it up, goes down, finds a room with a bed and a cage and a camera, and it's all like, what the heck went on here?
the camera's facing the bed,
And
It's,
then she goes down further. There's more steps that go down.
she keeps going
and
deeper and
She
deeper.
finds
Oh, no.
cages. She finds a huge tunnel, and she's going down this tunnel.
This is literal human trafficking.
Okay, so and then
close.
it's close, and then she then hears Bill Skarsgård screaming. He's like, "Ah, ah, ah," help me. And he's being dragged away by something. You're like, what's going on?
So she sees him and they do the
there's
thing
like
where
a
they pull him.
Yeah,
They pull him around the
they pull
corner.
him, and then she finally she
Yeah.
catches up, and then he's running toward her, and she's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" He's like, "You gotta run, you gotta
He's
get
like,
out of
"You
here."
shouldn't have
And
come
as
down here.
he's telling her this,
So you think he's
the
the
creature behind him comes up, whacks him, and bashes his head, and boom, we cut to Justin Long.
And a totally different character
Totally
story.
different character starts.
Wow.
We get like 15 minutes with Justin
What does the
Long.
monster look like?
So
I like
Go on.
monsters.
So
I like
it's
monsters.
It's a lady.
We twinned.
We twinned.
It's a deformed woman.
It's a deformed
who,
woman. It's all pale.
You've never seen it chapter 2. There's like it's a deformed woman who has
You haven't seen Alien
multiple
Romulus
arms
either,
and-
so I
no,
can't compare
It's
it
like
either.
multiple arms and stuff.
no, has like gigantism or something, so she has to like
Oh,
duck.
giant-
She's
giantism.
deformed, yeah.
But she's
Yeah.
naked.
She's naked.
Okay.
She's white and pale naked.
She's the lady from the
And
Shining.
She has like deformed teeth
Kind of, actually,
and
yeah.
like kind of, but she's not old.
Her
she
hair's
looks like
falling
she,
out.
she's
She's got
just
black hair.
right, and she can't
Yeah.
talk. She
Yeah.
just makes noises and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you find out she's not a monster. She's
Right,
a
that's-
person.
that's
She's a
terrible.
person.
And it's
Yeah.
because of inbreeding, years and years of it.
Oh.
Yeah,
And
it's messed
sad.
up.
It's
It's messed
sad.
up.
Yeah, it's sad. You do feel kind of bad for her because you're like, she doesn't know anything.
Right.
dude.
She's,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't feel
classic-
bad for her at all. Kill it. Like, I don't care.
Kill it with fire.
Well,
Kill it with
no,
fire.
Well, okay, they
Like,
also
again, we talked about this before. We're like, it's really hard. I think what's hard for like subject matter like that in a movie because we first up people who emphasize we put ourselves in the shoes of any and every character.
Yeah, who empathize.
And we just do it automatically. So like you telling me that, I'm like, oh my god, I would never.
And
want
I
that to
feel
happen
like
to
it's
me.
more intense,
Like-
especially to like the monsters of a movie. Guillermo del Toro has talked about this too. Like that's why he empathized more with the monsters than with the people.
yeah.
Like he always
I
saw the
do,
people as the
yeah.
villain, and I guess that's just I don't know why that's more natural, but you find out
Because
that
everybody is an outcast in some way.
right. But this person, this woman, all she
We're not gonna
wants
spoil
to,
all of it.
no, but like what she
yeah.
wants to do, her whole purpose of existence is to take care of children
Yeah.
because she was raised to do that, and she's like forced to watch this video about how to take care of
she
children.
was
So she
was-
treats
it's-
every person
she's tortured into becoming she's not human anymore.
no.
She's a compute because they call that programming. You can torture someone into being programmed to do and they'll
Yeah.
never be the same again.
right. That's
really
basically
sad.
what
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
basically, yeah.
And like
So,
we don't have to go
So,
into
yeah,
it, but
we
like the
don't
whole
have to go
reveal
into it,
leading up to that, like they reveal all of it gets more and more disturbing
More and
about
more disturbing,
how
yeah,
all
yeah.
that happened, who
How
this
it
woman
happened,
is.
yeah.
And she
so-
becomes like the King Kong
See, I
at the
don't
end of
think
the
I
movie.
could-
yeah, she
Like
comes
they
like the
climb
King
a water
Kong,
tower and
then
they try
like
to kill.
yeah,
and-
she climbs a water. Yeah,
What?
exactly. She
Yeah.
does climb. And so Justin
What?
Long's this a-hole who gets Me Too'd when we cut to him. He gets a
Oh,
call from his agent.
no.
He's like, "Hey, did you have a relationship with so and so at this one set?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, she's
It's
accusing
all
you."
over the news.
She's like, "He's
Yep.
accusing you of stuff," and he's like, "Oh no."
Oh no!
And so he
no.
moves to Detroit to get out of the heat of all of it going on.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh,
So
yeah."
he's like trying
He's
to
like,
lay
"Oh my
low.
god, I forgot. I have this property." And so he goes to the
Well, he
property.
wants to
guess
sell
I
it
am.
And he
to
wants, he's
pay
like, he wants to
her
sell
lawyers.
it to pay for her lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he goes and he gets paid for square footage. And so he's measuring the whole house. And then he goes down the basement and he's like, "Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah."
he sees the door.
And then he
open.
sees the door
He
open. He's
starts
like,
measuring
"Huh?"
the
And he opens
catacombs
the
under
door.
the house.
He's like,
Wow, look how much money I'm
yeah,
gonna make.
exactly. That's what he does. He goes down and he measures the entire staircase and the
Oh
tunnels
my
and everything
gosh.
until he gets captured.
He doesn't question the camera in
He doesn't
the
capture the
room.
camera.
He doesn't question the
He
cages.
was like, "Oh, get this bed out of
He's
here,
so-
this
Well,
camera."
that's
he's
another
so
topic for another
focused on
time about
doing
how
it.
celebrities are so disconnected from
Yeah.
the real world.
But it's
Yeah,
like,
And the hidden. The
I don't
hidden world.
empathize
Like,
for him at all.
no,
in
no,
that
no.
way.
But there's a part where Georgina escapes, and she's
high
getting
octane.
high octane. She's getting chased by the creature, and there's a guy who is driving by, and he breaks the window of the basement and pulls her out. And dude, the
Jeez.
shot of her getting pulled out.
the arm.
And the arm like tries to grab her, but it won't go in the sun. And you get a shot of her looking at the creature, and it's from her POV, and it's like, and it's like retracting in, and it's like,
So
oh my
scary,
God.
dude.
And it's like at night, she goes out at night. The creature can go
See,
out at
that's
night.
terrifying.
So it's like messed up.
And there's
It's
this
so
whole thing where
scary,
like at the beginning of the movie when she's sleeping in the bedroom and she doesn't know what's going on at first. She thought she woke up or something or heard something and she thought someone came into her room.
Yeah.
But there's no
Yeah.
evidence of that other than the door being
Yeah, the
open.
door's open.
And you find out the lady
And then
was in her room.
Yeah.
That's like those
Yeah.
stories of like someone was living in my walls and I didn't know it until a month
Yeah.
ago.
Exactly.
You know?
Because she goes out of the door and checks on the Bill Skarsgård, and he's sleeping on the couch still.
Yeah.
So it's
She's like, I know it was you.
okay.
It's a
It's a
good
messed
movie.
up. It messed me up. Let me tell you.
But
Let me tell you about in the theater when I went to go see it real quick.
Were you the only one in there?
creative
no, there
wise,
One second,
the
Chess.
writing and
Yeah.
setup of this movie,
Yeah.
again, unique. Someone's trying to do something different.
Yeah.
That's why it's
Yeah.
good. That's
It's
why
good.
it's good,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
and
cool-
Hollywood
and
should
original. It's
reward
original,
people
too.
for doing things excitingly and different, but they need the creative talent and the right people to do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not just copy and paste every single thing.
Yeah, and it was like because of the It movies, we basically got it too. Like some producers of It got Bill Skarsgård connected to the project, and then it got made.
Right.
And so it was really, really cool.
It all connects.
Yeah, it all connects. And
What was your experience in the theater?
So I was in the theater, and let me tell you, I was like watching it, and I got real freaked out when
Yeah.
we figured it and found out like once Justin Long got captured, and I was like, holy crap! And then there's like a couple couples in the film or in the theater with me,
Yeah.
like up higher in the seats.
They're like,
You know,
there's
they're
always
like,
somebody
there's
way
like,
in the back.
they're freaking out and stuff. And then
Hold me.
for some reason, at one of the most
Hold me back.
intense parts of the film,
Someone's phone
probably
was
during
off.
that chase scene, a couple freaking runs down the staircase.
What?
And I'm like, what the hell? And I was like,
You got jump
like,
scared.
I was
you
like,
so
God
bad.
dang. And then like her dude comes down too, and I'm like, ah! And so I got
Let's
freaked-
get out of here.
I got freaked out so bad. And dude, going to sleep in my room, like coming home after going
Oh,
to see
no.
that movie.
All you can hear
was
is the
like-
thump, 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 thump.
yeah, I could think of just the little things outside, like tapping on the
Right. 'Cause-
I was
oh,
like,
yeah.
"Ah!"
I feel like for me,
Dude,
like,
I
home-
wouldn't walk. I would walk past the bathroom. I'm like, just keep walking, Jake.
Yeah.
Just keep walking because there's the lights off in the bathroom.
It's so
So-
funny how like our imagination can do that because like it's not real.
It doesn't matter how old you get either, I think.
Yeah.
If you have
Yeah.
a pretty good imagination. So like the Fazbear Frights books, there is a home invasion story. And
Yeah.
after reading that one,
That's
yeah,
one of the
in
good
my
ones.
head, I kept thinking like it could happen to me. Like,
Yep.
like you know, you get scared.
Yeah, I highly recommend this movie. Like, we didn't even tell all the stuff that happens in it. Like, you should definitely watch it. Just, it's freaky, it's creepy, and it sets you on edge. So,
Yeah.
highly recommended. All right, where did we want to go from here?
Okay, the next shared.
The last thing
The
that
la-
we're
you have
shared.
one more to share. Okay,
And then I do have some honorable mentions that I just
Alright.
want to mention.
let's
But-
get cool.
For yeah.
The one it was actually the first trilogy that I had brought up when you brought up the podcast. I'm like, oh, we should talk about that. But I don't know what made me
And then
forget
like right
it.
before we came
trilogy.
over, you're looking at our movie library and you're like, oh, I don't know what to pick now.
Oh,
Like-
yeah, because I
You
wanted
forgot.
to talk about. I really wanted to highlight Jordan Peele.
And then Jake said something about like demons in a movie, and Adelaide goes, and looks at me,
Looks at you.
and I went, oh.
And I was like,
you
and Adelaide's
forgot."
making a big Wojak face at Chelsea. Like, what's What's
so every
happening?
time we talk about this like at work or whatever, people are like always go to the Conjuring when they talk about Blumhouse. Yeah, Blumhouse.
Yeah.
They always talk about the Conjuring, and I watched that first Conjuring movie, and I'm going,
I don't get
this
it.
is just a possession movie.
I don't
like.
get
I'm not
it.
really
It's
scared.
To me, it's super generic, and I
Yeah.
don't understand why.
I'm like, it does have a
exploded,
good
like, it's popular.
message,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of bored
Uh-huh.
because all the beats are the same.
Yeah, we've seen all this before.
and the actors
And
are
the
good,
ending, I was like,
but-
aren't they gonna show anything else? Everybody was hyping this movie up.
yeah, everybody was like, whoa, this movie's so amazing and good. And I'm going, this is not scary. And I've seen
It's
this
not,
before.
yeah.
Which I feel bad because, like, yeah, it's got its following. But anyway.
I just wish that following went to the better
movie that came out before The Conjuring was
one.
Insidious.
Insidious from 2010.
The original, the first
Oh
one.
yeah.
That's not my favorite one of the series.
Right?
It's
How many? Okay, how
I
many movies do they
misspoke.
got right
It's not
now?
a trilogy. There's 4 of them.
No, there's more than that.
There's 5. The Red Door.
Isn't there?
That was last year.
I thought that was number 6.
No, that's number 5. So
I thought there was way
there's
more
5
movies
of
than
the
that.
movies,
Oh.
and I think they're all great.
Let me actually really quick.
I
let me
think
clarify how
people would
many movies
disagree
are.
with the Red Door.
It's the weaker one.
It is the weaker one, but I feel like Patrick Wilson, he directed it. He stars in the movie and he
Oh,
directed it.
Yeah.
Did a great job acting and directing in it. And I feel like the message of that one and the portrayal of the, I guess you'd call them demons. Because there's like demons and ghosts.
Yeah.
There's difference between
So
that
it's
and the
called
movies.
Insidious because there's ghosts that haunt that just cause trouble, or there's ghosts that were innocents that had something bad happen to them and they can't move on. But then you have the insidious spirits.
Right.
And those ones do actual physical damage to the real world.
Yeah.
to
And
the
one of
people.
them in the first movie anyway, and I guess it carries all the way into the fifth one. Is attached to their son. If you've seen the trailer, it's not the house that's haunted. It's your son.
Oh my God.
That's what gets people into the movie.
But don't get taken from that.
Yeah,
like,
don't go in for a good time. I feel like
there are
it's
5
not-
movies. You're right.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
5 of them, and it's not like thought-provoking and emotional and art house. It's just a good time.
There is metaphorical stuff going on with the demons.
I know, but like that's separate to get people like. I feel like it was
Interested.
more creative and interesting
To
than
me,
the
that's such a
Conjuring
big
movie.
selling point for me, is how each demon or insidious spirit represents something. And they don't say that in the movie. You just get it by the design of the spirits and how they
Yeah.
look and what they do to different characters. And you're like, holy crap, that lines up with this spirit of malicious intent and stuff like that.
Yeah,
when you
and
think
James
about-
Wan directed the first 2 movies. I don't remember who directed the 3rd and 4th one.
I don't know.
But
Patrick Wilson did one.
No. It was the guy who plays in it who did the Saw movies. James Wan's friend. Lee Winnell. Lee Winnell did 3 and 4.
Okay.
And then Patrick Wilson
Then did
directed
the-
5.
Yeah, I was like, he did do one.
Yeah. So way more creative than The Conjuring.
So
For
the
non-spoiler.
non-spoiler, right?
So way more creative than The Conjuring.
Okay, really quick,
Oh.
getting into this. I want to go right into spoilers because I want to describe each spirit.
Right, let's
For
shoot through it.
Insidious?
For
Insidious.
Insidious.
All right. You heard it.
Shoot through it. Go.
All right, so I'm gonna really quick try to go through this. So in movie 1, in the first, it's just called they're called Insidious 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. And
And the Red Door.
in the first Insidious, the demon that is attached to their son Dalton, like it's cool because they have to like go into the spirit world, and it's just like a spooky
Right.
house version with fog everywhere of the real world.
That's one of the things that one of the staples of all the movies is the further.
Yeah,
And
It's
they
just
always
the
go
veil.
into the further we go.
Into the further
So-
we go, but that's cool. The ideas, the haunting and the ghost aspect of the further that we get to see.
It's very haunted house feeling.
Yeah, they don't skimp on it. It's effective and it's inexpensive and it's cool.
Yeah.
So the first demon, we call it the Darth Maul
The
demon.
Darth Maul demon.
'Cause
Oh,
it's,
yeah,
yeah.
that's where
If
this
you
comes
know what
from.
you know what
Okay.
exactly what I mean when I say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's red and black and he's like.
So wait, Patrick Wilson was in these and The Conjuring?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Him and
interesting.
I think James Wan are buddies.
Yeah, they're buddies for
Yeah,
sure.
I believe it.
definitely. I still need to
So
see
the
Aquaman
first
too.
spirit-
That's why he's in.
That's why he's in Aquaman.
Ah.
Duh.
So the first spirit, the Darth.
Sorry.
I'm not
Stupid.
stupido.
Anyway, so the second,
Stupido.
so the first one's Darth Maul.
So
and-
we call the Darth Maul demon, but it's attached to their son. Supposedly in the movie, the reason is
It's-
because Dalton has the gift that's sensitive to spirits,
Like Sixth Sense or
and
whatever.
the evil all spirits are drawn to people like that. But the insidious ones are the ones that
Take control.
take control and they possess people and they actually cause physical harm. They could actually, there's actually like evidence in the movies of the insidious spirits like doing stuff to objects sometimes.
Yeah.
Without possessing someone. So you're like, okay, this is the kind of power. And then when you go into the further, they like rule that domain.
Yeah.
All the ghosts there are scared of
Yeah,
the
all
insidious spirits.
the lesser
Yeah.
ones are either in their own like caught up in their own memories or they're terrified of these insidious spirits.
Yeah.
And they show that in all
In
of
all of them. And how every insidious spirit is in like a red room of some kind. Like the color red is wherever they are.
them, where the insidious
And so
spirit
it's like, dude, this is like their circle
Would you
of
say
hell.
the
They're
Darth
like that one's a sin of this, that's their circle.
Would
That's
you
what
say
it's-
that the Darth Maul demon is like the sadist?
Okay, we said it's a spirit that attaches to children because its lair is
Oh.
filled with toys.
It likes to corrupt innocence.
And
I
it
guess.
corrupts, it
Yeah.
goes after kids.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we're like, that's
Ooh.
just what we've surmised from the movie. So that's the first
yeah,
movie.
that's subtext.
The second movie, there's a creepy bride in a black dress.
There's a
and black
woman in
veil. She's
black.
a creepy old lady, and she has these really scary eyes and teeth. And all she is doing is holding a candle and
standing there.
smiling and laughing.
Man.
And that really reminded me of like the OG Haunted Mansion before they changed it.
Oh yeah.
Like really scared me. Like, okay, that took me back. And
the
she
backstory
is
behind that's interesting too.
Yeah, the backstory is like oppression and
Control. I feel like
abusive parents,
Right.
Abusive.
so a
mother.
spirit of abuse and
Spirit of what would you call that? The really cruel
mutilation.
I guess.
Spirit of
What?
mutilation because that's what his mom was trying to do to him.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
Creepy.
So there's that one. It's creepy black bride. And number 3, this one is so interesting. The next one's
dude.
the next few get so
3
interesting.
and 4, I feel like.
So number
are
3
better.
is a spirit of sickness.
Yeah.
So-
I remember you guys talking about this one.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty profound.
It's
So
pretty creepy.
in that one, the main character is a young girl who lives in the city. She lives in an apartment. Her mother just died. Or I mean, we're in spoilers area. And how
Her mom
No
died of
way.
cancer.
her mom died of cancer.
Oh,
and that
yeah.
kind of hangs over the whole family. It's a trauma kind of thing.
Mm.
And how she sees the insidious spirit and she doesn't know it's a spirit. And right as she sees it and it's trying to get her attention, she gets hurt and she gets hit by a car and breaks her leg. So she breaks her leg. She's hurt. She's holed up at home. And as she's trying to get better, the insidious spirit keeps hurting her again and again.
Yeah.
And in the insidious spirit is an old man with a oxygen mask and in a hospital gown, and he looks like a cancer patient.
yeah,
that
he
is
looks
Oh.
sick.
dying. He's
Interesting.
dying sick, and he's
Huh.
in the further. It shows him petting her body, her
Right.
spiritual body.
So
he owns
But
her.
her version of herself, when he has control over her, is the leg she hurt is missing, as if it had
Right.
cancer and they had to cut it off. And then she's
So
missing her
there's
hands
just really
and her
cool
face.
parallels with all these spirits.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's visually it's showing how that demon has control over her,
Right.
or how she's let it have
And
control
the reason
over her.
I get so fascinated about this stuff because there's spirits like that in real life. Like our faith, like we believe that there's a spirit of sickness, there's a spirit of terror, there's a spirit. I mean, there's a spirit for everything, like an evil spirit for everything.
Right.
And like we know how to combat it and stuff. And these movies are kind of like the secular view on that. And
Yeah.
in these
Huh.
movies, it's like family, like your
Yeah,
willpower.
You have the strength of your mother in you, and that's how she defeats
yeah,
it.
it's like pretty generic.
But from a Christian or faith point of view, it's like that's that authority you take hold of to get rid of that evil
Right.
spirit.
Number-
And the
Yeah.
cool thing about going into the further is it's like it's showing you the fight in the spirit world.
right.
Because they
Ooh.
always
You can't
have
see.
this medium
Right.
lady who shows you the spiritual world. So like you see
Yeah, in
the
every
spirit-
movie.
the
She does
fight
it in
the
every
spirit.
movie.
And then it shows them back at home holding hands. They're like, what's going on?
And there's like a big fight, and they're like punching and throwing
yeah,
each other.
they're like throwing each other in the spirit world and stuff like that.
Movie number 4
Oh, no, movie,
is
that one's
called
my
The Last
favorite.
Key. That one has like 3 plot twists in it.
It's so
The spirit in that one,
it's a spirit of bondage.
bondage.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So another abusive parent in that one.
Right.
It's a father this time though, and it kind of shows how back then, like back in like the 40s, your grandparents and your great grandparents,
It's about generational trauma.
there's
I think,
generational
in that
trauma,
one.
but it was actually really common, and it's really unfortunate about that kind of thing. How people didn't get help for that kind of thing.
right.
You didn't do that. You stayed with your parents even if they hurt you horribly
Right.
and stuff. And the spirit in that one, it's called The Last Key. And the spirit in that one is a creepy, sinewy monster, and every finger is a key.
It has keys on
As a
each
key,
finger.
and the people it takes over. It takes its finger and it locks up their mouth, like their vocal cords, so they can't speak. And that's how it controls you.
That's
And
pretty
it's like,
cool.
oh my gosh,
Which
like
is,
you
like,
see the
symbolism for,
parallels
like,
of like the
domestic
people being
abuse.
abused,
Yeah.
and then the spirit, and you're just like,
Jeez.
oh my gosh.
The fourth one
like,
is the best one, I think.
Yeah.
It's so I don't want to say explicit, but like in terms of like theme and message and what it shows
and
in
what
the spirit
happens
world.
in real life spiritually
yeah.
to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And why it's so hard to get rid of like it's not just trauma, it's what do they call it? A fortress? In
Your
the
walls.
spiritual world?
Oh, yeah, fortress.
Stronghold. They call it a stronghold.
yeah.
Yeah.
In like our faith base and stuff. It's called a stronghold,
Yeah.
which means it can't be fixed overnight.
Mm.
It may take years to
It's a
break down.
process, you know.
Yeah, but it takes help from others and spiritual people who are sensitive to like what the Holy Spirit is trying to tell you to break it down, because you have to take it down in a very specific way that God is trying to tell you how to take it down.
Right.
Or you're just going to have it forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in
that's
that
how
one,
hard
the
it is to get rid
stronghold
of.
that the demon has is a jail, a cell block.
It's a
So
cell
it
block.
keeps all its
that's
victims
so
that it has
cool.
bondage over in the cells.
Dude, that's so dope.
It's so good.
That's the fourth one?
That's the fourth one.
And then the
Dang.
fifth one, it just revisits the Darth Maul
the Darth
demon,
Maul
and
demon.
that's
Yeah,
why
he's
it's the
back,
weakest
you know.
because
Well,
it doesn't explore more.
Little
I would
guy
also
keeps,
argue-
and just like a familiar spirit just stays around. You know?
Well, I would also argue,
but after 4 movies, this is the first one that feels like
I've done it before.
cheesy, like a copy and paste. This is the first one after all those good movies.
Cash
but
grab.
I would argue that because
if you're a fan of the Insidious franchise,
because
that's
1
worth it.
and
Like,
2 do follow Patrick Wilson's character. They're about him and his past and everything. The 5th one revisits that because it's still about Patrick Wilson and his son,
yeah.
except
and it's
they're
the
all
exact
older.
same kid from the first
It's the
movie.
same actors.
He was a little
It's the same
kid
little
in
kid
the
in the
first
first
one
movie, and now
is the
he's
teenager.
Like, and
Oh.
he's a really good actor.
Yeah, they're
Huh.
pretty good.
Because you're like, oh boy, they're bringing back the same child actor, but you're like, oh gosh, this guy's got a career in acting.
Guy's
What the
got some
heck?
chops. Yeah.
But I would argue that the 5th one is technically like a follow-up to 2, because 1 and 2 are all about the generational spirit that followed Patrick Wilson's character. It comes back in the 5th one because their relationship is starting to thread apart. So when
As a
their
father and
relationship
son.
is at its weakest, that spirit comes back to invade.
Mm.
So I think it's just a continuation of 2, really.
Yeah. There's one really good scare in it, and that's about it for me. Like, oh man, like they should. And I was like, the return of Darth Maul demon. I was like, let's go,
The
let's
return
do
of
something
Darth Maul
profound, like all the other movies have done. Excuse me, and they don't do it. And I was like, oh what? I was like so upset, oh, man. And then that's it for Insidious. I think my favorite is the most like the second one probably, and then I do like the 4th one a lot.
I
Both
like-
of those have the most twists.
Yeah, number 4, then number 3,
Yeah.
2, 5, and 1.
Okay, I'm gonna
One-
set a
ooh.
little bit of a timer just to do honorable mention.
Just say them. Lightning round.
Yeah, but then we were like, oh, I remember.
Well,
this
I
part,
also
remember
want to
this
get through what I want to see.
part."
real
Okay. Oh,
quick.
you want to do that first since we just talked about?
No, just get through your honorable mentions.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Honorable mention.
Gosh, Sonic, can't you say your honorable mentions so quickly?
Okay. I will. Okay, probably the one that I just go over the quickest would be this isn't a horror movie, but there's one part in it that is there's multiple elements in it that are spooky and just offsetting because Ray Harryhausen, and it's the 7th Voyage of Sinbad is the movie. But the moment I'm talking about in the movie, there's 2 actually. So the first one would be when they transform the lady into the snake. Because that part is actually really disturbing. You're
She's
like,
naked
oh
too.
no, she's not.
I'm joking.
And she ain't wearing no clothes.
She
too.
wear no clothes too. God, we have to do a retrospective episode on the
Make
Thumb
David
movies.
watch all those.
No, the Thumb
He'll hate
movies.
it.
He knows a bunch of them.
Yeah,
Does
he's
he?
seen
Yeah,
them.
he's seen a bunch of them.
Oh,
too. Yeah.
really? Oh, okay.
I think
Do it with
he's.
Nick.
I don't know if he's themed Oh, we should do it with
Yeah,
Nick.
we should do it with
Yes. Our Pastor Nick,
Nick
you're gonna
is
be on our Thumb
Do
tag.
you think Nick would like it? Like, you think he would think it's funny?
Oh,
He's seen
yeah.
them all.
I wonder if we can get
He's
Thad,
seen every single one.
Thad, Nick, David, and me on the Thumb movies retrospective. That'd be freaking awesome.
Like a
Anyway,
reaction. That would be so funny.
the Franken Thumb is one of my favorite horror movies. Yep. Anyway,
Horror mo-
yeah.
we shall call him Pepper. Pepper.
I love the God
'Cause he
Thumb.
really spiced
The
up our
God
lives.
Thumb, where he's like, the guy's playing the violin and they're beating the guy up in front of him. He's like, whoa.
He's like,
and he averts his eyes and just keeps playing.
All right. Anyway, what's your honorable
Anyway,
mentions?
7th Voyage. So the part with Lady turns into a snake, because that's really disturbing the way he animated the snake woman and stuff. And then the snake part starts to strangle the woman part of itself.
Yeah.
And then she magically turns back into a
Yeah.
woman. So
It's cool.
scary stuff there. And then, oh man, the skeleton fight.
Yeah.
Oh, that skeleton fight. Like the directing of that scene and the way they
So
plan
good.
it out.
Some
So
music.
good.
The music is super like stressful
Yeah,
in
the
that
editing.
scene.
And dude, if you look at like the original King Kong
it's from
film,
the year 1958. By the
and if
way.
you look at the original King Kong in I believe the 30s, I remember watching that, and it's Ray Harryhausen's like one of his like
That's
big
one of
things.
his inspirations.
One of his
yeah.
inspirations, and you look at that, and then you see the skeleton fight. Night and day
Like,
difference
oh,
of the
man.
fighting. Like you see Kong fight a lizard or something in the original, and it's just one shot, and it's like continuous, and it cuts a little bit here and there.
Yeah, and it's like kind of slow.
It's slow, but then you get the skeletons. Like, dude,
Well,
this is,
okay,
like,
you're
so
talking about
cool.
monster fight. So also in the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Dragon versus Cyclops.
Yeah, the Dragon versus
he
Cyclops.
animated a
Oh.
monster fight. Like,
It's so freaking awesome.
so anyway, that was
dude.
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. That's a childhood favorite of mine. It's a nostalgia thing.
Mm,
But
it's a
again,
good
like.
movie. But it's not a horror film.
No, that's what I said. I
Oh,
said there's two
okay.
moments that are kind of like
That are
spooky.
kinda
The first
spooky.
part is more like a horror, and then the second part is just awesome to mention.
Kind of action.
Okay, all right.
the-
I'll let it pass.
Next thing I'm going to mention is Ichabod Crane by Disney.
Now that's
It's
scary.
I mean, it's a movie. It's a short movie. It's like an hour long or 40 minutes or something.
Is it
like
an
that.
hour?
Is
It's like
it?
20 minutes.
It's like a 48. No, it's 45 minutes.
It's longer
Short.
than 30 minutes. I
It's
think.
short.
It is short though. But
But anyway.
it's Disney. It's not very well known. It was paired up with Mr. Toad. If you
Yeah,
know the
Mr.
Mr. Toad.
Paired with Mr. Toad, it's like an hour. or something.
Right. So people
Yeah.
who are looking at Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in Disneyland are wondering, like, what the heck is this? I mean, they made a Mr. Toad cartoon, and then they paired up with Ichabod Crane, which is the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Disney's version.
Yeah.
And I would argue, I was telling Adelaide, I said, the only part in this cartoon that's horror is the end when the Headless Horseman is chasing Ichabod Crane through the woods. But again, it is one of the best animated moments.
It's so
Again,
good.
it's so stressful.
Yeah.
It's so it's funny too. I mean, it's a cartoon. Like you got Disney and,
And
them
this was
doing,
from
like
the
their goofy-
40s as
like
well.
he's getting
49.
chased by the Headless
Yeah.
Horseman. Ichabod's nose is so big, and it's caught on a branch, and he flips around. He flips around the branch, lands
It's
on
so
the Headless
good.
Horseman's horse, and doesn't realize it because he's so scared. Turns around, sees his own horse, and both him and the horse go, "Oh!" They get scared.
Scooby-Doo right
but
there.
it's like kind of weird, like how there's like really funny stuff. You're laughing at it, but then it's like, I mean, the laughing,
The
like,
laughing,
is
yeah.
so loud, like from the horseman.
Hang on, I'm
Mm.
looking him up right now.
Yeah.
Oh, she wanted to know who did the laughing.
The voice of
And I was like, I don't know. It's probably the guy who did like their Swiss Family Robinsons or
That's
something.
why I
don't
said,
know,
"Oh,
pirate?
Tex Avery." Pull it out of my butt.
Maybe it's the guy who did the voice in Pirates of the Caribbean ride. I don't know.
It could have been.
And they're all linked
Yeah.
together somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say worth the mention because
Yeah.
Disney did something pretty amazing. That's another childhood one, so I might just be biased from nostalgia. You never know. But really,
Well, I think
when you
in
watch those short
terms of
2 minutes, it's 2
animation-
minutes at the end.
terms of animation, that whole sequence of him chasing Ichabod, it's legendary. Like there's so many things
yeah.
that spawned out of that, and so
I
many
feel
kids
like,
grew up watching
the
that.
Headless Horseman
Dude,
is
all
very
the-
realistic
dude,
looking.
You're talking John Carpenter, Scorsese, all those folks that made stuff in the 70s. That's stuff they watched when they were kids. And they were like,
Right,
this is
right,
mess.
right.
This
Okay.
is so freaking creepy.
So the guy who was the laugh of the Headless Horseman, because the whole short is narrated by Bing Crosby.
That's
Yeah.
right.
The voices, everything, except for I think some of the female voices. The specific
No,
laugh,
he does all of them.
The specific laugh of the Headless Horseman was done by a man named Billy Bletcher. He was
Huh.
According to Google,
uncredited.
right?
He was uncredited. He was a character actor who was known for his voice, but he was uncredited in most of it.
Really?
So he was in Calamity
That
Jane,
happened a lot.
apparently.
That
It says
happened.
uncredited. He was in let's see, Sleeping Beauty as the Goons, but he was uncredited.
So he was like the laughing sound of the
Oh,
goons, right?
okay.
yeah, so he was
yeah.
hired for his
Because
voice.
they're one of the goons in Sleeping Beauty who goes every cradle. Like he's one of the voices in the Haunted Mansion.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then he was in
Yeah.
Hello Dolly, but uncredited
Oh.
or something. So
So when they say uncredited,
Oh, he's that guy that does that voice like in Finian's Rainbow, like, I don't know.
Oh,
no,
You mean-
I don't
no,
think
no,
that's
no.
him.
different guy, but that guy was
Different
also
guy,
in the Haunted
yeah,
Mansion.
it's a different guy,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was also in the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
He was the Crusher in Looney Tunes. He was this. He was a wrestler. The voice of the wrestler in a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
That's
I'm not familiar
fascinating.
with
So
that.
like character acting and voice, it's so different now. Like
Oh,
they can be their own celebrities now. It's so crazy. With
that
the
seems
internet
to
and
be like the
everything.
only thing he's credited for
Yeah.
is the Headless Horseman laugh and this Looney Tune short.
Interesting.
It's
At least according to
legendary.
IMDb.
That laugh
So-
is so amazing. It's so clear.
Oh,
It's so
man.
loud. I think
It's
the
very
volume of that
good.
laugh is what's terrifying.
Yeah,
Very good.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I can't get away.
And
You want to
using
get
that
away.
old technology in the recording booth too, like
To make it echoey.
It blows
yeah.
up.
Oh man, it's so
His
cool.
voice is too much.
So good. All right, what's your next one?
Okay, next one is let's see, we did Sinbad. It's every Twilight Zone.
Oh come on, we're talking movies here.
Twilight is horror. We're talking horror.
It does deserve a mention, sure.
It deserves a mention.
Yes.
What they were doing in the episodes of the Twilight Zone, like not movies couldn't even do that at the time.
I can think of one that still scares me today.
the
pretty
acting,
bad.
this was like the best of the best was on the Twilight Zone that were performing.
Can you imagine
Like,
watching I Love Lucy with the family and then you and your dad stay up late and watch Twilight Zone?
yeah,
That's
I
what's
can't
up.
imagine that.
That's what's up.
yeah. There was no internet or anything like that. You
Mm.
watched what was on TV. There wasn't even satellite TV for you to
Yeah.
hit record on. Choose what you wanted to watch. You just wait. You just heard what was gonna come on because they had
Yeah.
scheduled programming. You knew it was on scheduled programming. You'd show up and you watch it at that time.
Yeah.
And Rod Serling was doing things like writing wise again that none of the movies at the time I feel like could even compare to
And
for
it's-
short 20-minute episodes.
Yeah.
and a lot of the content and political analysis and cultural and social analysis in those shorts have stand the test of time, and they've just really have.
Yeah, he had things to say.
They've been around for 70 plus years, and they just are still great.
Yeah, the commentary and a lot of them are still relevant to
Commentary,
today's.
yeah.
and not, but like horror wise, because there's a lot of good ones. It's not
There's a
just
lot of good
good
ones,
performance,
yeah.
good acting, good writing, really
The
important thought-provoking commentary.
unsettlingness of a lot
When
of
it comes to horror,
episodes.
I feel like the Twilight Zone, which was made in the 60s,
Oh, sorry, 60s. yeah.
1959, I think, is
So
when they
that'd
first
be-
aired or something. So it was
Yeah.
basically the 60s.
Yeah.
It ran all throughout the 60s and then the 70s.
Mm.
Like today,
Sorry, not 70 years, 60 years. and
like
plus,
today, those episodes, it's not like, oh, that's old, that's not scary anymore. Like there are movies today that could take a hit from the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
There are so many moments in there where music knows when to stop, people know when to talk, shots know when to look at someone's face in horror and when to show something you can't see. It makes you think about what the heck is going on. There's the horror, there's societal horror. There's like the Number 12 Looks Just Like You
Mhm.
about beauty and a society where you're like the Uglies. It's what the Uglies is based off of. That's where
Yeah.
Scott Westfield got the idea. Was
Is
from
that
that
what
Twilight
that's
Zone
called?
episode.
And
He got it from that Twilight Zone episode.
I'm not saying, is that what it's called? I don't remember
Yeah.
it saying being called that.
What?
Number 12 Looks Just Like You is a different one.
No, that's the one where there's only two women to choose from in the future, and you have to look like either one.
Oh,
Yeah. And that's the women, and then the men, and then everybody has to look the same in the future. And
Oh,
there's
you're
that
right.
kind of horror.
you're right.
And then there's the unseen stuff, and then there's the scary sounds. So like the call
Well, and then
episode
there's, like-
about the dead guy calling on the phone. And
Yeah.
That still
oh
scares
yeah,
me today.
that one's so good.
That one scares me today. So that is the scariest episode
There's also some in there where it's like, wow, what a terrible way to
to
die.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But without gore and without
No, yeah.
And
Yeah,
again, why I love
yeah.
some, they're doing these outrun any horror film as little mini masterpieces, but they're doing it without being offensive or disgusting or again something I can watch with anybody.
And it was all about the writing, really. Just the writing was stellar. And
well,
so
again,
many
also
of
the
them.
filming too, which is why you can make it
Yeah.
so scary.
And the fact that they
all
were
this
able,
stuff, all
the
of it.
fact that they were able to do it too in a
So
studio.
Twilight Zone will
really good.
always be scary. Doesn't matter what decade you're in. It doesn't matter if we're
Yeah.
400 years in the future. Twilight Zone is always going to be scary. Okay, it doesn't matter. And then the last one I want to mention. So I couldn't pick between the two. We didn't mention M. Night Shyamalan at all.
No, we didn't. I was gonna pick some of his, but I'm like,
He's
eh,
mostly he's done
that's more
most horror
suspenseful
movies.
Yeah,
thrillers.
I wouldn't
it's not
call it
straight up horror.
Horror, yeah.
Yeah, there's some I would say that are horror. Like Split is definitely a horror film. That's what I would say. Well, not Split. What was the
No,
Village?
that's a
No, not The
thriller because
Village.
it's like a kidnapping.
They're all thrillers, I guess. Yeah,
no. Okay, no.
but they're all
no. They're all
not
creepy.
all great.
The Sixth
but-
Sense is a horror.
Okay, The Sixth Sense. Yes, your guy.
And
yeah.
The Village is a horror.
I would. Yeah, that's the one.
Those were the two
Yeah.
I couldn't decide between. I like The Village more. The Sixth Sense is more well known and it's better written.
It established his
that's an
career. It's a
opinion.
great film. Everybody said he was the next Spielberg. And then you get Unbreakable and
Well,
Signs.
no, like his
Oh,
twists,
so good.
his twists too were something like, whoa.
It was the tagline.
Like his storytelling is so different. Like I don't think anybody does storytelling.
You
like he
guys
does.
still haven't seen Trap, right?
No, I want to. Though.
Oh man, it just came out on Max, so we should
Really?
watch it. Yeah.
It was rated R though, right?
No, I don't think so.
We'll look it up.
We'll look it up. Yeah, we need
But,
to watch it though. It's really great.
So I think The Sixth Sense in terms of horror, I feel like that's a really stressful movie too. Like it's a little disturbing to deal with because it's a child involved.
It's a straight up
And
horror
it's
film,
like,
yeah.
so if you know the show, most people probably don't know the show Medium anymore, but it's just like Medium, except it's a child.
Are you gonna bring up Ghost Whisperer next? Like, what series are you gonna bring up?
No, because in Medium,
I'm joking.
they have no control. She has no control over what she's being shown from the
Yeah.
ghost. And in The Sixth Sense, it's the same thing, but it's this little kid and he's being tormented, and he can't tell anybody, and he has so many problems. And
poor
it's
kid.
Like, oh my god, this poor kid. And
And they make him play Sora in Kingdom
Yeah, I
Hearts
was gonna
later
say that
on.
too.
You know, like poor kid.
I was gonna say that too. Leave Haley Joel Osment alone. Everybody is mean to him.
He's
He's
cool.
doing pretty good right
Yeah,
now.
he's doing all right. You know.
He's doing all right. But yeah, so that one, I feel like Sixth Sense has more horror stuff in it. There's grosser stuff in it. It's about ghosts. There's like violence and it's a little like icky, right?
Aw.
It's way sadder though too. You cried at it pretty hard.
Yeah, I cried pretty
Yeah,
hard.
it's
Yeah.
a good movie. It's really good.
Like sobbing.
I feel like the saddest one is
snot
Signs
down
for
my
sure.
face. I don't think I've cried at
Oh,
a movie that
God.
hard. In a
I
long
love
time.
Signs so much.
I love Signs too. That one also is another horror. That goes in with horror.
Yeah,
More horror
yeah.
than sci-fi.
Yeah.
So and then The Village, I feel like because when I watched it for the first time, like I remember Angela telling me the whole plot of the movie because I wanted to see it, but I wasn't old enough to see it yet. And then like as I'm watching it, things are slowly coming back to me, but I don't remember like the most pivotal things like the twists and stuff.
Mhm.
And I feel like the way like you're like, are these really monsters? Like, and you're like, oh my god, they are really monsters. You're like,
What?
what's going on? And so,
Yeah.
and then like the interaction, and it's like a symbiotic relationship of the monsters and the villagers.
Mhm.
And you get autistic Adrian Brody. You know.
There
get a
you
lot
go,
of
you got
pluses.
diversity.
You get.
And
Yeah.
blind people.
Yeah, sure.
Diversity.
Diversity.
Representation.
Yeah.
I feel like
Representation.
yeah, representation. My bad. That's what I meant to say.
Don't Breathe, The Village. It all comes together.
I feel like also in terms of twists, like storytelling, where you're like, what's really going on here? I feel like The Village is the most creative because you're like, whoa, this kind of plot would be in like a pulpy kind of movie, but though it's executed so. Though again, just like Jordan Peele, when the pieces all fall into place, and then they flash back to things that were said before.
I
feel
would
like
put it
the
on that
inverse over
same level,
images.
even though I haven't seen it in a while. But I could. I don't
think
necessarily agree
M.
with what you're
Night
saying.
Shyamalan follows more
But
of.
I see what you're saying.
Well, I
you
think
know.
M. Night Shyamalan follows more of like the clean kind of direct, like we talked about Crimson Peak. I'm like, that's such a clean
Yeah,
movie.
clean, yeah.
Everything has a purpose. The script is written for a purpose. People say things for a reason.
There's no
editing-
wasted space.
No, there's no wasted
Yeah.
space. I feel like all of M. Night Shyamalan's movies is the
And
same.
also, I feel like M. Night Shyamalan's movies,
but they are
very
both directors coming off of the previous generation of like Spielberg
Yeah.
and
Right.
Lucas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So it's really where time is money and space is money. So you're going to utilize it wisely.
also which helps with Shyamalan's like writing because it's so much like they're live action comic books because
Yeah.
everybody
yeah.
is narrating like almost every like they're saying what's in their head.
Oh,
People are actually saying out loud what's going on in their heads. Like,
That's true.
yeah, it's really funny, like almost like a stage play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
almost.
comparison. Yeah.
But that's all of my honorable mentions.
All right, Adelaide, do you have any?
I think when I saw Alien
I
on
would
my
say
shelf,
Yeah.
I was
aliens?
like, well, I have it categorized on our shelf as horror and not like sci-fi action.
Yeah.
Because it is a horror, but I feel like that's in its own wheelhouse. But
That's-
it's a good horror movie, and
Yeah,
I feel like that's
especially-
one of the movies that
It's
when I
very,
mentioned.
very like sci-fi horror, like just the idea of being trapped in space. Like, how much more sci-fi can you get?
I
there's
don't know
aliens in
how
it.
much
I
more
don't
sci-fi
know,
can you
yeah.
get.
Well, wait, no, you can get pretty bad pulpy B-movie sci-fi.
Yeah.
I think
Laser
in
guns.
terms of horror, it's mostly body horror, especially in like the newer ones, because they're experimenting with what the DNA of the aliens can do biologically. And I had mentioned I have a limit to like body horror and stuff earlier and like transformation.
Yeah.
For the alien movies, all of them, that's something I can take and that I enjoy watching. Like I enjoy watching the
they
transformation
do
scenes.
it in a certain way.
I enjoy watching that horror and the gore in that.
I
those
really
movies.
enjoyed also Alien Romulus.
It's fun.
the new one.
Alien
Yeah.
Romulus.
It's just
is really
fun
good, too.
horror. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, come to Alien.
And also just the first one in general is such a beautiful movie. Like just the way it's shot.
Romulus.
No,
No,
the
the
first
first one.
Alien.
Oh, your first one. Okay.
Alien. Like it's amazing. Like
Um,
because I remember the story goes recently after Alien Romulus came out, the story goes that back when Alien was before it was made, Ridley Scott made a very very artistic, very like a basically Oscar bait kind of film that was an indie film that he made that was about somebody in the Victorian times, and it came out in 1976, and then the year later Star Wars came out. And then Ridley Scott was like, oh man, God, I should have came up with that.
I'm not keeping
and he's
up.
like, man, because he was going to do more artsy stuff, but he's like, no, I want to do sci-fi. And so
Yeah.
after that he went and he got Alien greenlit.
the whole behind the scenes story
It's
is
really
a
interesting.
really good documentary on YouTube. I can't remember the channel it's from, but it's just a fascinating behind the scenes story about how both Ridley Scott had to fight the studios for things because
Yeah.
something like this had never been done before,
Yep.
and then like
that always
H.R.
happens,
Geiger
too.
also just
His design.
well, it's just like the weird decisions that the studios made, like, okay, we'll let you do this. Oh, never mind, we're not gonna do that. And
Yeah.
then it's just how frustrated he was.
yeah.
And he went back to the UK and he's like, they're making really bad decisions. Eventually, like months later and
Look
money
at the UK,
wasted.
they'll let you do whatever you want because they respect creative freedom.
Well, like money wasted. The producer's like, oh, maybe we should get him back in here and finish this because only he knows how to do it.
Yeah.
It's
wait,
it's
yeah, I
crazy.
did hear about that.
It's crazy.
How they try to have like 3 people try to do it or whatever, like in a row. They had to get one person after the other, and it
The
was just
first
like 4
film?
yeah.
And, yeah, and they were
Wow.
turning it into like
Well,
it was
it was-
just obviously bad.
It was all H.R. Geiger's designs and creatures and stuff he came up with, and then the studio's like, we don't like that.
They were
and so
saying like they were
removed
gonna
him
make
from
the monsters
project.
like talk or something.
I don't know, but
Mhm.
he
Interesting.
disagreed with it,
Huh.
and obviously his creative freedom output was way better than Hollywood studios. So
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like it seems like every single entry in the Alien franchise has a very bizarre behind the scenes story. Like you just said, the first one.
I mean,
the
they are
second
weird
one is
movies.
like
AVP is
you
based on
have
the fan fiction.
the second
I
one
mean,
you have James Cameron come in, and now it's an action movie. Then you
Mm-hmm.
get the third one with David Fincher, and it was recut entirely before that.
totally different movie.
Totally different movie, and it was going to be a totally because the studio's like, no, we're greenlighting it. We don't know what we're doing, but we're going to greenlight Alien 3. So it's going to be Aliens 3 or Alien 3. And then they finally got David Fincher connected to it. But before that, it was going to be based off the, what's it called? The greatest sci-fi script that was never made.
Yeah.
The greatest sci-fi movie never made about
Yeah.
a whole planet made out of wood, basically. And how
The
everybody
planet is
lives on
Groot?
it. The planet is made out of wood. Like it's constructed artificially
Is
out
it
of
like
wood.
living?
It's not living. It's made
It's-
out of
oh.
literal wood.
They made a play.
Yeah, it's made out of wood.
And
it's-
where does the story
bunch
go?
of
and I don't know.
nails.
There was a script that was like one of those scripts that never gets adapted. I can't remember what they call
It's
it.
the
but-
Home Improvement Planet.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, Alien's good. I don't have any honorable mentions. I guess
What are our takes on popular horror movies?
let's not get into that because I want to talk about what we want to see next and then what's coming out next year real quick.
What do
So
we want to see next?
So I want to see personally for me, A Cure for Wellness by Gore Verbinski is one I've always been super
Oh, a
curious
really
to see.
weird one?
The really weird one with
Is it in
Dandy
a
Hahn.
insane asylum.
Dandy Hahn in the insane asylum.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot
Um,
about that movie.
The next one, In a Violent Nature, which came out this year, is from the POV of the killer, but it's just following him everywhere he goes, slowly trudging along,
Oh
killing
my
people.
gosh.
It seems
It's
like
like watching somebody play a video game, but not in an interesting way.
yeah, it's like a third person. You're following him around.
Yeah, what the
But
heck?
it's like it seems pretty interesting, and it seems interesting. So The Color of Space, the Lovecraftian Nick Cage film, It comes at night, which I've heard I've watched
I know
analysis.
that name. What's
I
it
heard
about?
analysis of, and Joel Edgerton's the main character, and I heard it's really good. And that's pretty much it for what I want to see. But I want to see what you guys think of what's coming out next year.
I have no idea.
I'm
what's coming out next
excited
year.
for Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which
Oh,
comes
yeah, I am
out
too.
next
Yeah.
December.
Next December.
Yep, they released the trailer and the announcement already on Twitter. I think it's December 20th or something, so it'll be out for Christmas.
I picked up the books again. I'm trying to finish the last 3 of the Pizzaplex. Tales from the Pizzaplex.
Jake, you're not excited for the Poonaverse Monsters Assemble?
That's what the next one's
Oh
called.
my
They're doing.
God.
No.
The Winnie the Pooh.
No.
Yeah, Five
I-
Nights. Five Nights Freddy's 2 is coming out next year in December. I'm excited. I'm intrigued to see what Sinners is going to be all about. The new Ryan Coogler film with Michael B. Jordan, which is about
wow.
vampires in the South.
Yeah.
Seems
Oh,
pretty interesting.
Wait, yeah.
I told you
And
about it.
just from the
I saw the
poster,
trailer, but
I don't know
remember
if it's like he's a proper Southern man or he's a vampire hunting Southern man, or if he's a proper Southern gentleman and he's a vampire secretly. I don't know.
There's gonna. I mean, it's
I
all
don't
gonna
know.
be like.
I'm not gonna speculate, but it's had a cool trailer.
Like commentary and stuff, probably.
So I
And
didn't get to
then-
see Longlegs, but Osgood Perkins' next
Oh,
movie, The
that's
Monkey, is
right.
coming out, and
Did you see
Elijah
it?
Wood's
No,
gonna be in it.
I almost want.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet? We should rent it.
Longlegs? I've never seen it.
We should rent it.
It's funny, there were people who were saying like, whoa, this really surprised me, like with long legs and stuff. And then like I watched 2 other people after the hype died down, and they're like, why are people saying this is good? I'm mad I watched it and wasted my time. Like they didn't get it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I was intrigued to see that. I would like to see that as well. Next year we have in January, where films go to die, by the way. Blumhouse is releasing a adaptation of Wolfman.
Blumhouse has a movie coming out every month.
And so Wolfman is going to be released next
Yeah,
year.
I saw that one.
I saw the trailer. It actually looks pretty
I'm not
decent.
wowed
I'm
yet
not
about
wowed,
that,
but I'm intrigued because I'm like, oh, this is going to be stupid.
It says Leigh Whannell is directing it.
And Wolfman?
Yeah.
Oh.
Who did
Who did she do?
Insidious 3 and 4?
Oh, okay.
Cool.
And I did think the trailer was interesting because the whole angle, the way they're selling this, they're like, what if someone you love changes?
Yeah.
Which
And that
is
looks pretty-
such an
it's so
interesting angle.
Yeah.
It's like, you're selling that? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's cool. And finally, the last one I have here is the Until Dawn adaptation, directed by David F. Sandberg.
Oh yeah.
Which just wrapped
That's been
filming.
trending.
Just wrapped filming,
Because
and
the,
it has
the remaster just came out, right?
yeah, the remaster just came out. They're doing that. I believe they're greenlighting a sequel to the game, and so Until Dawn is coming out next year on April 25th, 2025. Really interesting.
Crazy.
I just want to see it because David F. Sandberg is going to do it, and I think
I
the
mean,
game's
all
intriguing.
those PlayStation games are basically just movies anyway.
Well, this one's different because it has to do with the butterfly effect and multiple choices. So I don't know if
Just pick a
That's
timeline.
true.
I don't know what they're gonna do.
Just pick one of the 20.
So I'm
timelines.
intrigued to see how David's going to be handling
I
it.
feel like in
Good
the
old Pony
game-
Smasher on YouTube.
In the game, though, regardless of any of your decisions,
Yeah,
the monster still shows up at the end and
Yeah.
still chases.
kind of like a Telltale game. Telltale games, no matter what your choice.
So I'm like,
Have you seen on YouTube, by the way, Telltale games where you don't say anything at all? People just
Yeah.
don't say anything.
No.
They're, and
They're funny. They're so
it's crazy. It's like
I saw,
somebody
like, the
punches
Batman
a dude.
ones.
the quiet type I see.
Yeah, but there's
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, I kind of want to go back and play the
Like,
first.
like in Batman, you play Bruce Wayne. Imagine Bruce Wayne not saying anything. Like the Batman saves the little kid, and he's like, "I'm scared," and Batman's just like staring at the little kid.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what to do, Batman. I don't know what to do. And he's just like
Batman.
slowly leads the kid under the stairs
Oh,
to hide or whatever. It's like,
wow.
what the heck?
Jeez.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh.
That'll be terrible.
That's awesome. Oh man. Well, I think that's all I got for you guys. Any final words about horror films
I
before
was
we go?
curious if Jake, did you see the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street with Jackie Earle Haley?
No, I have not. But I've never seen the
Did
original.
you see Freddy
either.
vs. Jason?
No, I don't watch any of those. I've never seen Halloween or Friday
You've
night,
never
Friday the
seen
13th.
Halloween?
I want to
Yeah,
see the
Adelaide-
original
those are
Halloween.
Adelaide's
I do want to
favorites.
see the original Halloween,
Oh
but
my God.
I've seen that or Friday the 13th or
You saw Poltergeist with me a couple months
yeah,
ago.
you and me, and we all watched
that
Poltergeist.
one's
That was
my
great.
favorite
That's great.
classic. That one's my favorite classic
Got
because it has a
Craig T.
lot
Nelson.
of puppets.
Craig T. Nelson's the dad. He's cool.
Yeah, Greg Nelson.
I also like the twist is whatever, but I
Yeah.
feel like the way they did again, there's a lot
The
of
original
puppets.
is what
I
we're
feel like
talking
that's
about,
an
yeah.
actually scary movie.
Yeah.
It's from
Now,
1976
was the-
or something like
Yeah,
that.
76. And there's like old debates and theories of like, did Spielberg actually direct this or did he not? Because
Oh,
it's not,
really?
It's supposed to be somebody else. But there's like fan theories of like, I think Spielberg actually directed this film because of this way the shot is shot and all this stuff. But he produced it, so I don't know if he did
You
or
haven't
not.
seen The Ring? It's like a famous one.
Nah, I don't want to see The Ring. I'm not a big horror guy in general.
I don't recommend The Ring.
I'm just like
Yeah,
branching
I
out.
recommend The Grudge.
I recommend The Grudge.
The Grudge, I hear, is good.
It's it's scarier.
It's,
I haven't seen.
There's more going on.
Oh,
It's more
did we watch
interesting.
Devil together? The
We did.
elevator. Yes, we did. That was good.
I love that one. It's
Yeah.
weird because you watch it and you're like,
I loved that. It was
you're
really
like, you're like,
good.
the beats are like, I don't know, they're not really revealing a lot. I don't know. You're
Well,
wondering what's going on, but it's kind of generic.
Up until
But
like
then,
halfway, and then you're like, all right, I'm
it
in.
just keeps you watching though.
Yeah.
Like it's a good one. It's a good one, and it's got great
Mm.
actors in it and stuff. And I really
Yeah.
like all of them and everything.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I like that one. So
And then I think my favorite alien is AVP. Of course, people all
Yeah,
agree.
but you
it's
haven't seen.
I
very
want to see
many of
Predator
them.
or no, Predator 2
Predator
with
of the remake or
with
the
what's his
old
face
one.
with what's his face.
Schwarzenegger.
No,
What?
excuse me. Oh my gosh, the first one was Schwarzenegger. I've seen that. Great,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
great movie. But the second one is modern days, and it's got
Well, yeah, the
Scott,
Predator
what's his
comes
name?
to Earth.
What's his name? Danny Glover is a cop in L.A. and the Predators
Predators running
invade,
around, yeah.
and it's like hokey, bloody, rated R, and it's like he's got to defeat the Predators. This is L.A. cop,
Did you see Prey?
and I did not. I want
You
to see
need to
that.
see
yeah,
Prey.
I saw the end of
Yeah,
it.
so I'll see.
need
I'll
to
probably
see
watch
it.
Prey 2, or no, sorry, Predator 2.
We should just watch it because
I'll probably watch
it's a little
Predator
violent,
2.
but it's
I want
Oh,
to see
yeah. No,
Predator.
I saw- I
What's
thought
the
the
one
ending
with
was cool.
Adrian Brody? Speaking of Adrian Brody, the Predator remake he did, I heard was good.
Forgot all about that one.
Yeah. But Prey I want to see, and I hear the next one is coming out, and
What are
It's
they gonna call
about.
it?
it's what it's about.
So the first one takes place
It's
in
Native
a
American,
pre-colonial
America,
America.
with Native Americans in it.
and the Spaniards are here.
Filmed in New Zealand.
Maybe.
yeah, pretty much.
I really don't know if it is.
They said something about the Predator being in Civil War in the next one or
Yeah,
something.
final.
Or maybe it was the
What?
Revolutionary War. I don't know.
South shall rise again.
What?
He
With
don't
the
care. He's just
Predators?
gonna mow down
He's
everybody.
gonna mow down everybody. He don't pick a north or southern side.
Yeah. So
Oh my gosh.
it's called Prey 2.
And I know you
Prey
haven't
2,
seen
yeah.
The Orphanage, which is another one I liked.
No.
I that's one I liked again because it was sad when you
Yeah.
find out what happened.
I need to watch Monster House, and Adelaide, we need to sit down and watch Dead Alive because that's really fun.
Oh, the one that you guys
The one we
watched.
just
you
talked
have
about.
a limit though. Did you listen to the last episode?
I listened to some of it. I didn't watch all. of it.
Don't call it that. This is coming out a little bit after all this stuff. so-
Did you listen
Anyway.
to the episode that
Nah.
we talked about?
Yeah. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you've made it this far into Snarp Fangle, we applaud you and thank you so much for taking your time to listen to us and to ramble on and have a good time together. And we hope you had a good time as well. Again, thank you so much for the time that you invested, and we'll see you next time. But thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Adelaide. You guys are awesome. And do you have any final words for the audience before we head on out?
Why did you point me out?
I said you first.
Oh, well, I don't know what to say.
There you go. She said it.
I don't know what to
All
say.
right. Well,
my last words are Jurassic Park is a horror movie, and I don't care what anybody says.
Hey.
Wow. Oh,
we had a big argument with
you-
Mom that it was.
one
she
last
said it
thing.
wasn't,
I still haven't seen The Thing, and I need to see The Thing.
but I'm not
That
gonna watch
goes
that. I
beyond
know
my
I'm not
limit,
gonna like
sorry.
that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, then you're not gonna like Dead Alive.
Oh.
Dead
I
Alive's
told
like
you. I told
complete. Because you've seen Evil Dead, right?
No.
Oh,
I told you. You
oh,
wouldn't like
I have a limit.
My God,
I have a
Jake-
limit.
Oh, okay, wait. You do like that stuff though?
I love Evil Dead,
You like
and Dead Alive's like worse.
you
than
like
Evil Dead.
all of the
like it.
gross stuff in it?
I mean, not all of it, but I
That's
like
what
the
baffled me. I was
campiness.
like,
He doesn't
wait, you were
mind
into
it.
Like I
that?
don't mind it. I don't mind the gross, grotesque, gory violence, like
Okay.
Overlord. Like I love Overlord.
like the cartoony amount.
cartoony amount of
gore.
blood. Like the we didn't detail it
Well,
on the
I'm
pod.
not-
Like
I know, but I was
like
still
in Evil Dead
ugh.
2, they capture a guy, they bring him down to the basement, and they're like, no, she's trying to pull him out, and just buckets of blood just like are like
Yeah.
thrown into
Well,
the
that's
room.
not my
And it's
limit.
like, what?
That's fine.
That's so stupid.
It's more of like
No, there's no human that has that much blood in his body.
No,
Like,
I
it's
know.
like anime. They have like
Yes!
someone
Yes!
gets shot. They're
It's like
lying
the
on the ground.
yeah.
The blood goes everywhere, and they're still talking their last words
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, and it goes on for like 20
Or
minutes.
like Dragon Aid's Origins when you're fighting a bunch of people and then there's a cutscene and you're just
Yeah.
covered in blood.
The graphics took a little while to load.
Yeah, it's like, oh, sorry about that.
Jake, those go beyond my limit. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
Dead Alive, we can fast forward. No, you can't really.
I told you.
Dead Alive's really funny though. You gotta listen to the podcast though. So
Yeah, listen to the
Alright.
podcast.
Yeah.
You'll know it.
All
Yeah.
right.
anyway, so again, if you want to email us and ask any questions, tell them in the comments or email us at snarpfanglepod@gmail.com. We will see you on the next one. And Snarp Fangle on. Bye.
Peace out.